Pre-dawn darkness swallows the California desert, the kind of black that exists only in the hours before creation, when the world holds its breath and waits. 4:45 on the digital watch face, 72 degrees already climbing toward 90. The air tastes like copper and sand and something older than memory. Colonel James Brennan steps from his government sedan onto cracked asphalt that remembers Korea. 58 years of Marine Corps weathering shows in every line of his face. Silver hair cut high and tight, regulations from an era when regulations meant something. Eyes the color of winter steel, still sharp enough to count heat shimmer at 4,000 meters. Hands steady as bedrock despite 3 Purple Hearts and enough scar tissue to map a war. He carries his rifle case like a coffin, custom M4005 1970s era design updated with modern glass, maintained with the kind of love reserved for brothers who never came home. The case itself bears scratches from 20 deployments, dents from helicopter insertions, burn marks from things he will never discuss in daylight. The range spreads before him like a cathedral of violence. 50 shooting positions carved into California hardpan. Target berms rising in the distance like ancient burial mounds. Beyond them, steel plates at intervals measured in philosophy rather than mathematics. 800 meters, 1,200, 1,800. And at the edge of possibility, where mirage turns solid objects into liquid dreams, 4,200 meters of nothing but wind and prayer. The digital scoreboard blinks red in the darkness. 18 attempts, 0 hits, record open. Voices carry across the firing line. Young voices, confident voices. The kind of voices that have never watched friends die from decisions made in Washington by men who never wore the uniform. Master Chief Dylan Kane owns the center position like a throne, 32 years old and carved from arrogance and protein powder. Navy SEAL Team 7, Afghanistan veteran, 2 Bronze Stars, and the kind of smile that stops working when the cameras turn off. His shooting mat cost more than Brennan's first car. His rifle wears enough accessories to confuse an aerospace engineer. 6 other SEALs cluster around him like disciples around a prophet. They laugh too loud, move too fast, check their phones between shots like social media matters more than wind velocity. Kane sees Brennan approaching. The smile widens into something sharp enough to cut. "Check it out, boys. Grandpa Marine decided to join us." The laughter ripples outward. Phones appear. Red recording lights bloom like warning flares. "Coronado's new retirement home opening early? Somebody check if he needs help finding the bathroom." Brennan sets his case down without response. Muscle memory from 4 decades of discipline. He unlatches the lid with a sound like a door closing on the past. The rifle inside gleams with the kind of care that requires patience. Patience requires time. Time is the one resource young men never understand. The briefing room smells like coffee and testosterone. 26 operators crammed into space designed for 12. PowerPoint slides glow against the far wall. Kane stands beside the projector, pointer in hand, wearing authority like a jacket 2 sizes too small. Brennan sits in the back row. The chairs designed for men half his age make his knees complain. Purple Heart number 2, Fallujah, 2004. Shrapnel still embedded too deep for surgery. The kind of souvenir that sets off metal detectors and explains itself to TSA agents who were in elementary school when he earned it. Kane clicks to the next slide. Tactical formation from a manual Brennan wrote in 1998. "This is how you old-timers did it, right, Colonel?" Laughter from the front rows. Kane clicks again. Black and white photograph. Brennan at 32. Face still smooth. Eyes still innocent. Fallujah burning in the background. Ancient history, gentlemen. We evolved. More laughter. More phones recording. Brennan's jaw tightens 1 degree. Not enough for cameras to catch. Enough for men who know what discipline costs. The slides continue. Kane's voice builds momentum. He talks about cutting-edge tactics that Brennan pioneered when Kane was learning multiplication tables. He mentions force recon like it's a museum exhibit. Calls MARSOC operators dinosaurs in khaki. The coffee in front of Kane wobbles. His elbow catches the cup. Black liquid splashes across Brennan's personnel file. The folder Brennan carried through 3 wars. The folder containing letters from mothers whose sons came home because of decisions Brennan made in the dark. "Whoops. Sorry, Colonel. These old paper files, you know. Everything's digital now." The younger SEALs don't even try to hide their grins. Brennan pulls a handkerchief from his pocket. White cotton, pressed sharp enough to shave with. wipes the coffee away with movements that could be prayer or violence depending on interpretation. The file is clean in 40 seconds. The handkerchief goes back into his pocket without a word. Kane watches. Something flickers behind his eyes. Recognition or respect or calculation. It vanishes before Brennan can measure it. The range officer's voice crackles through outdoor speakers mounted on poles that remember Korea. Extreme distance qualification, 4,200 meters. Wind variable, 8 to 12 miles per hour. Temperature rising, density altitude 1,200 feet. Any qualified personnel may attempt. Brennan stands at the fence line watching. 18 shooters have tried 18 different approaches to the same problem. The problem being that physics stops caring about confidence somewhere around 3,000 meters. A young Marine Corps scout sniper steps to position 7. Good form, excellent breath control, calculates wind using the latest app on a tablet worth more than Brennan's monthly pension. The shot breaks clean. The steel plate 4,200 meters away remains untouched. The digital board updates. 19 attempts. 0 hits. An Army Ranger tries next. Veteran of multiple deployments. Silver Star recipient. Adjusts for Coriolis effect at this latitude. Compensates for spin drift. Accounts for thermal layering in morning air. The mathematics perfect. The execution flawless. The result identical. 20 attempts. 0 hits. Kane stretches his shoulders. Theater designed for the phone still recording. He wears a shirt 2 sizes too small to display work that happens in gyms rather than combat. This is going to be a long day for some people. His crew laughs on cue, professional sycophants who learned early that proximity to power beats competence in the short term. The long term being something young men never consider until it arrives with wrinkles and regret. Kane steps to the line, sets up with movements practiced in mirrors. His rifle cost $12,000. Custom built. Match grade everything. Enough technology to make NASA jealous. He settles into position. Breath control, excellent. Trigger discipline, textbook perfect. The kind of shooter who learned from the best instructors money and military prestige can provide. The shot breaks. Somewhere in the 6.8 seconds of flight time, physics remembers it doesn't care about biceps or bronze stars. The round impacts low and right. Close. Impressive even. But close only matters in horseshoes and hand grenades. 21 attempts, 0 hits. Kane stands, jaw tight. Embarrassment poorly hidden beneath bravado. Any pogs want to try? Person other than grunt. The insult lands soft but deliberate. Pog equals desk warrior equals irrelevant equals everything wrong with modern military bloat. Maybe the colonel wants to show us how it's done, before the arthritis sets in. The crowd noise builds, anticipation mixed with cruelty, the kind of energy that turns good men into mob mentality when nobody intervenes. Brennan feels Palmer's presence before seeing him. The old armorer moves like smoke, 62 years old and still capable of violence that would surprise men half his age. Face mapped with scars from wars fought in countries that changed names since. Eyes carrying secrets that would end careers as if spoken in daylight. Don't. One word. Quiet. Loaded with meaning that only certain men understand. Brennan glances at him. Palmer's expression gives nothing, but his hand rests on the ammunition cabinet, fingers drumming a rhythm. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. Morse code for SOS. Distress signal from a man who spent 20 years pretending to be someone else. Not yet, Palmer continues, voice barely audible beneath crowd noise. Not here. Why not here? Palmer's eyes shift toward the observation tower. 600 meters from the firing line. Elevated position with clear sight lines to every position. A figure stands there, too far to identify features, close enough to recognize intent. Someone's watching, someone who thought you were dead. Brennan's pulse stays steady at 58 beats per minute, the kind of control that takes decades to master. The kind that saved his life in Fallujah when younger men panicked and died. Who? Palmer's jaw works, ancient scar tissue pulling his lip into a permanent half-grimace. The man who killed our team. The words land like ordnance. Brennan's hand stops moving. His breath catches for 1 second. Then discipline reasserts itself. Training older than Palmer's secrets. Muscle memory carved into neurons through repetition that measured in years rather than months. Our team. Palmer said our team, which means Palmer knows things he shouldn't. Remembers operations that officially never happened. Carries scars from explosions that killed everyone present. Brennan turns slowly. studies Palmer with fresh understanding, the old armorer's stance, the way he positions himself with back to solid walls, how his eyes sweep the perimeter every 12 seconds in patterns that shift constantly, habits that come from places where relaxation means death. Recognition blooms like blood in water. Raven 3. Palmer's expression doesn't change, but something in his eyes shifts, acknowledgement without confirmation. The kind of communication that happens between men who survived what kills everyone else. Later, Palmer whispers, after you make the shot. What shot? The one that announces you're still breathing. The one that forces his hand. Kane's voice cuts through their conversation like artillery. Clock's ticking, Colonel. We haven't got all day. The crowd energy shifts. Anticipation building toward critical mass. Phones recording. Social media waiting. The kind of moment that defines reputations in an age where reputation matters more than reality. Brennan walks to the equipment shed, unlocks his case with a key worn smooth from 20 years of handling. The rifle inside rests in foam cut precisely to its dimensions. M40A5. The same weapon platform that won wars before Kane was born, updated with modern optics. Maintained with religious devotion. He lifts it clear, weight distributed perfectly, balance point memorized by hands that could assemble it blindfolded. 7 pounds, 9 ounces of wood and steel and mathematics. The crowd quiets watching him work. Something in his movements demands attention. Economy of motion. Zero wasted energy. Every action purposeful as prayer. Brennan sets the rifle on his shooting mat, folds the mat with hospital corners, positions his rear bag with micrometer precision, adjusts until the crosshairs settle naturally on target without muscle tension. Palmer approaches carrying a small wooden box, opens it to reveal ammunition hand-loaded with the kind of care that takes hours per round. Each cartridge weighed, each powder charge measured to individual kernels. Primer seating depth verified with tools that cost more than most people's rifles. This one's on me. Palmer hands him a single round. Brass gleaming and morning sun breaking over eastern mountains. 190 grain Sierra Match King. Boat tail hollow point. Ballistic coefficient high enough to laugh at wind. Brennan inspects it with trained eyes. Checks case length, examines primer for proper seating. Feels the weight in his palm. Everything perfect. Everything right. Thank you, Gunny. Old rank. Old respect. Old recognition between men who earned titles rather than inherited them. The crowd presses closer. Kane stands front and center. Arms crossed, confidence rebuilt now that cameras focus on someone else's potential failure. If you miss, you're done here, Colonel. No second chances. Brennan chambers the round. Slow, deliberate. Feeling the bolt face press against case head. Hearing the action close with a click that sounds like doors locking. He settles into position. Cheek weld consistent with 30 years of practice. Eye relief exactly 3.5 inches. Stock position so breathing doesn't disturb natural point of aim. The world narrows. Everything outside the scope becomes suggestion rather than substance. Crowd noise fades to white static. Temperature drops away. Even gravity feels negotiable at this level of focus. 4,200 meters. 4,200 meters equals 4,593 yards, equals 2.6 miles, equals the distance between possible and impossible. Wind terrain begins with exposed skin. Brennan's neck registers 8 miles per hour left to right. But necks lie. Mirage tells truth. Through the scope, heat shimmer boils across the desert floor. Patterns visible only to eyes trained to see them. The Mirage moves left. Velocity indicated by boil rate. Direction confirmed by wave structure. 8 to 10 miles per hour. Variable, gusting to 12. Density altitude 1,200 feet. Lower air pressure than sea level. Bullets fly faster but drop harder. Temperature 76 degrees and climbing. Thermal layering forming as ground heats faster than air above. Creates zones of different density. Bends bullet path like light through water. Coriolis effect at latitude 32 degrees north. Earth's rotation deflects eastward traveling bullets right. Requires compensation. Spin drift. Right-hand rifling twist imparts clockwise rotation. Magnus effect pushes bullet right. Requires additional compensation. All these variables combine into single number. 7.2 mils left. 0.8 mils up. Brennan's thumb adjusts the turret, each click representing 1/10 mil. 72 clicks left, 8 clicks up. The satisfying mechanical precision of German engineering from an era when quality mattered more than quarterly earnings. His breathing slows, 6 breaths per minute, then 4. Heart rate dropping from resting 58 to operational 48. Box breathing. 4 count in, 4 count hold, 4 count out, 4 count hold. Repeat until the world disappears and only the target remains. Finger rests on trigger. 2-pound trigger pull. Brennan builds pressure molecule by molecule. 1 pound, 1.5, 1.8. The crowd holds its breath without knowing why. Something in Brennan's stillness communicating importance beyond their understanding. Even Kane stops talking. 2 pounds, 2.2, 2.4. The reticle settles. Crosshairs bisecting white steel plates so distant it exists more as concept than reality. 2.5 pounds. The trigger breaks clean. Surprise break. The kind that happens when discipline meets preparation, meets muscle memory carved over decades. The shot sounds like thunder compressed into microseconds. Shockwave ripples outward. Dust explodes from the muzzle brake. The rifle recoils straight back into Brennan's shoulder pocket. No muzzle rise. Perfect form. 6.8 seconds of flight time. In those seconds, the bullet travels faster than sound itself. Supersonic crack following behind like afterthought. The round sheds velocity fighting air resistance. Drops according to gravity's unforgiving mathematics. Drifts right from spin. Deflects left from wind. Curves from Coriolis. Climbs and falls through thermal layers invisible to human eyes. 6.8 seconds feels like eternity. The digital scoreboard flickers, updates. Hit. Center mass, 4,200 meters confirmed. Silence falls like hammer on anvil. Total. Absolute. The kind of quiet that follows revelation. Then chaos erupts. Voices overlapping. Phones everywhere. The scoreboard blinking its verdict over and over like accusation against everyone who missed. Kane's face drains of color. His mouth opens, closes, opens again. No sound emerges. Brennan doesn't celebrate, doesn't acknowledge the crowd, simply chambers another round with the same deliberate care. Same preparation, same breathing pattern, same trigger discipline. The second shot breaks 30 seconds later. The scoreboard updates again. Hit. Same impact point, 0.8 Mosaic group confirmed. 2 shots. Same hole. 4,200 meters. Minute of angle accuracy at distance where most people can't even see the target. Palmer grabs Brennan's arm, urgent, fingers digging in with surprising strength. We need to leave, now. Why? Palmer points toward the observation tower. The figure that was watching is gone. In his place, 3 men in civilian clothes moving with purpose toward the parking lot. Not running, but not walking either. The tactical glide of operators who learn movement in places where mistakes mean body bags. That's Admiral Blackwell, the man who killed our team in Fallujah. Brennan's hands continue their work, breaking down the rifle, stowing components in foam cutouts, muscle memory allowing conversation without distraction. And he just realized you're alive. The words carry weight beyond their syllables. Implications spreading like fracture lines through glass. Brennan finishes packing, stands, shoulders the case, looks toward the parking lot where the 3 men are entering black SUV with government plates. Good. Palmer's eyes widen fractionally. Good? The man has resources, money, political connections. He's been systematically eliminating anyone who knows about Fallujah. I know. Then why good? Brennan's expression doesn't change. But something in his eyes shifts. The kind of look that comes from men who made peace with death years ago. Because I'm tired of hiding, tired of pretending, tired of letting ghosts go unavenged. He starts walking toward the parking lot, away from the crowd still processing what they witnessed, away from Kane's shattered confidence, towards something inevitable as sunrise. Palmer follows, old legs keeping pace with determination rather than youth. James, listen to me. This isn't Fallujah. You can't just shoot your way out. Wasn't planning to. Then what's the plan? Brennan reaches his sedan, opens the trunk. The rifle case goes in beside a go bag that never gets unpacked. Inside that bag, items that tell stories. Passports in 3 different names. Cash in 5 currencies. Medications for conditions treated in field hospitals rather than civilian facilities. And photographs. Always photographs. Brothers who never came home. The plan is to make him come for me. In daylight, where there are witnesses. Palmer processes this, understanding dawning like sunrise over mountains. You want him to attack you publicly. I want him desperate. Desperate men make mistakes. Desperate men also kill effectively. Brennan closes the trunk, looks at Palmer directly. Silver hair, weathered face, eyes carrying 20 years of secrets. Marcus, I know it's you. Raven 3, my spotter. The man who called wind corrections when I couldn't see through smoke. The man who pulled me from rubble when the building came down. Palmer's poker face finally cracks. Decades of practiced deception falling away to reveal the warrior underneath. Took you long enough? I thought you were dead. They told me everyone died. They told me the same. About you, about Prophet, about Fortress and Mercy. But you survived. Palmer's hand unconsciously touches his left side, where shrapnel from the airstrike embedded too deep for field surgery, where scars map the border between living and dying. We both survived. Question is why? Why did Blackwell order that strike? Why kill our own team? Brennan opens the driver's door, pauses before entering. Because we saw something. Something worth murdering Marines to hide. The arms deal. The arms deal. Iraqi insurgents, American Stinger missiles, Blackwell facilitating transfers. We had photos, video, recorded conversations. Palmer nods slowly, pieces fitting together across 2 decades of careful investigation. And when he realized we had evidence, he eliminated the evidence, along with the witnesses. Except we didn't die. No, we didn't. They stand in morning sun climbing toward brutal afternoon heat. 2 old warriors, silver hair and scars and secrets between them heavy enough to crush lesser men. Brennan climbs into the sedan, starts the engine, 1997 Crown Victoria. Government issue from an era when government built things to last. 300,000 miles on the odometer. Runs like the day it was manufactured because Brennan maintains it like he maintains his rifle. Palmer leans into the window. Where are you going? BOQ, Bachelor Officer Quarters, Room 213. Come by tonight. Oh, 200 hours. We'll talk about old times. And if Blackwell sends contractors before then, Brennan's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Then I guess they'll learn why Marines are harder to kill than they look. He drives away, leaving Palmer in the parking lot, leaving the crowd still processing the impossible shot, leaving Kane's shattered confidence scattered across the range like brass casings. The observation tower stands empty now, but Brennan knows someone is still watching. Someone with resources. Someone with 20 years of murder to protect. Someone who just realized the ghost he thought he buried is walking and breathing and demonstrating sniper skills that make SEALs look like amateurs. Good. Let him watch. Let him worry. Let him make the first move. Because Brennan has been waiting 20 years for this moment. 20 years of hiding. 20 years of wondering if justice exists for men like him who did everything right and got punished anyway. 20 years ends today. The black SUV follows him at a distance. 3 vehicles back. Professional surveillance. The kind that knows how to stay invisible to civilians. The kind that stands out like fireworks to operators trained in places where surveillance detection means survival. Brennan doesn't adjust his driving, doesn't signal awareness, just maintains speed at exactly 3 miles per hour below the posted limit. Hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. Turn signals used precisely 100 feet before every turn. The picture of a man who doesn't know he's being hunted. The picture that hides a wolf counting sheep. Night falls over Coronado like a curtain on the first act. Bachelor Officer Quarters Room 213 sits dark except for a small lamp burning in the bathroom. Light spilling beneath the door. Enough to suggest occupancy. Not enough to illuminate threats. Brennan sits in the closet, door open 3 inches, provides view of entire room while maintaining concealment. He wears black, face darkened with camouflage stick from his go bag. M1911 pistol in his right hand, 7 rounds of .45 ACP, each round hand-loaded, each one capable of stopping threats permanently. Breathing controlled, heart rate 52, waiting with the patience that separates professionals from amateurs. 0230 hours, the lock clicks. Not picked, bypassed with electronic override, the kind of tool that costs $15,000 and requires government connections to acquire. The door opens. Silent hinges. Professional work. 3 men enter. 2 tall, 1 medium, all wearing black tactical gear. Night vision goggles. Suppressed pistols. The kind of contractors who learned their trade at Fort Bragg before retirement open private sector opportunities. They move in practice formation. Lead man covers the bed. Second clears the bathroom. Third provides security on the door. Brennan waits, counting heartbeats, measuring distances, calculating angles of fire that maximize efficiency while minimizing collateral damage to government property. Lead man approaches the bed. Suppressed pistol aimed at blankets arranged to suggest sleeping occupant. Old trick. Older than Brennan's career. Still works because people see what they expect rather than what exists. The contractor fires. 3 rounds. Professional double tap plus insurance shot. The blankets absorb the bullets without complaint. Brennan moves. Closet door swings wide. His hand reaches the lead contractor before conscious thought completes. Wrist control, weapon strip, elbow strike to solar plexus. The contractor folds. Brennan catches him on the way down, uses the body as shield. Second contractor spins from bathroom, brings weapon to bear. Brennan fires the captured pistol. 2 rounds center mass. Suppressed shots sound like books dropping. The contractor falls. Third contractor, but the door adjusts aim. Brennan throws the first contractor's body at him. 200 pounds of dead weight moving with velocity. They collide, both men falling. Brennan crosses the distance in 3 steps, kicks the weapon away, brings his own pistol to ready position. Move and eye. The contractor freezes, hands visible, eyes calculating odds, finding them unfavorable. Brennan checks the other 2. First contractor unconscious, breathing. Second contractor dead. Clean shot placement. Third contractor, smart enough to recognize superior position when facing it. Who sent you? Silence. Brennan adjusts his aim, now pointing at the contractor's knee. Kneecaps being body parts that function poorly after .45 caliber intervention. Last chance, who sent you? The contractor's eyes shift. Measuring. Calculating. Coming to conclusion that kneecaps matter more than loyalty. Contractor name, Phoenix Solutions. Based in Virginia. We got the call 6 hours ago. Target description, location, instructions. Instructions being what exactly? Terminate with extreme prejudice. Make it look like home invasion. Who made the call? Don't know. Orders came through encrypted channel. Payment already deposited. Half up front, half on confirmation. Brennan nods. Expected answer. Professional operations maintain plausible deniability, but patterns tell stories. Phoenix Solutions operates exclusively for government clients. Virginia locations suggest proximity to Pentagon. Encrypted channels require infrastructure available only to certain pay grades. Your phone. The contractor hesitates. Brennan's aim doesn't waver. The contractor reaches slowly into his pocket, produces an encrypted smartphone. Latest model. Government issue. The kind that costs taxpayers $6,000 and comes with security clearances attached. Brennan takes it, scrolls through recent messages, finds the one he's looking for. Raven 1, terminated. Location BOQ 213. Time window 0200 to 0400. Compensation standard. The message originated from block number. But metadata tells stories. Sent from server farm in Northern Virginia. Routed through Department of Defense network. Timestamp matching exactly 3 hours after Brennan's impossible shot. Someone with access, someone with resources, someone desperate enough to order murder 6 hours after witnessing resurrection. Your friends are going to wake up soon. When they do, deliver a message. What message? Tell whoever sent you that ghosts don't die easy. Tell them I'm coming, and tell them to bring everyone, because I'm done hiding. Brennan backs toward the door, weapon still aimed. The contractor stays frozen. Survival instinct overriding pride. Outside, Brennan moves through darkness like smoke. Muscle memory from operations that never officially happened. 20 years of practice that some men never lose. Palmer waits by the dumpster, materializes from shadow like he was part of it. Heard shots. 3 contractors. Phoenix Solutions, government contract killers. Survivors? 2, left them a message. Palmer nods understanding. Sometimes messages carry more weight than bodies. They walk together through empty base. 2 old warriors, silver hair and scars. Moving with economy of motion that comes from places where wasted energy means death. Where now? Brennan checks his watch. Oh, 3:15. Dawn still hours away, but sunrise coming regardless of preference. Now we find Rivera. Rivera's dead. Died in Fallujah same as everyone else. No, he's alive. Been alive this whole time, gathering evidence. Palmer stops walking, turns slowly, studies Brennan's face in darkness. How do you know? Because I know how we were trained. Raven protocol doctrine. If captured or compromised, go dark. Wait. Document everything. Return when the time is right. That was 20 years ago, which means 20 years of evidence, 20 years of documentation, 20 years of patience waiting for the perfect moment. Palmer processes this. Understanding dawning. Your shot today. My shot today was the signal. Recreated exact atmospheric conditions from Fallujah. Same wind speed, same density altitude, same mirage structure. Anyone from Raven Protocol would recognize it instantly. So Rivera's watching. Rivera's always been watching, waiting for someone to light the signal fire. Now he knows I'm alive. Now he knows it's time to come home. They reach Palmer's truck, ancient Ford F-150, predates computer diagnostics, runs on determination and regular maintenance, the kind of vehicle that will outlive its third owner. Palmer unlocks the door, pauses before climbing in. James, you realize what you're starting here. Blackwell has resources, political connections, 20 years to build his fortress. We're two old men with rifles and grudges. Brennan's expression doesn't change, but something in his eyes hardens. The look that comes from men who made peace with death long before gray hair arrived. Good. Old men with grudges are dangerous. We've got nothing left to lose and everything to prove. He climbs into the passenger seat. Palmer starts the engine. They drive into darkness that's starting to thin at the edges. Dawn approaching whether anyone's ready or not. Behind them, Bachelor Officer Quarters Room 213 sits dark. Inside, two contractors beginning to stir. One dead, one unconscious. One already making phone calls to explain how 3 professionals got handled by one 58-year-old Marine. In the observation tower overlooking the range, a figure stands watching. Too far to identify in darkness. Close enough to understand implications. Admiral Victor Blackwell, 63 years old, Rear Admiral upper half, 2 stars earned through competence and 3 more stars through methods that don't appear in official records. Currently positioned 42 days from becoming Chief of Naval Operations, the highest position in naval service, the culmination of 30 years of careful climbing. And now this, a ghost from Fallujah, walking, breathing, demonstrating skills that remind everyone watching why Marines earn their reputation in blood. Blackwell's phone vibrates. Encrypted message from Phoenix Solutions. Target still active. 3 operators engaged, 2 down, 1 wounded. Target delivered message, quote, "Ghosts don't die easy," unquote. Blackwell's jaw tightens, muscle working beneath weathered skin. He makes a call. The phone rings twice before connecting. "It's me. We have a problem. Raven 1 is alive and active. Contractors failed to eliminate." He's sending messages. The voice on the other end speaks too quietly to hear, but Blackwell's expression darkens with each word. "Yes, the same Raven 1 from Fallujah. No, I don't know how he survived the airstrike. No, I can't use official channels. That would raise questions about why I ordered the strike in the first place." More quiet words. "I understand the timeline. CNO confirmation in 6 weeks. I will handle this. Yes, permanently." He ends the call, stares out over the range where Brennan made history 6 hours ago, where impossible shots became routine, where old warriors reminded young operators that age measures in wisdom rather than years. Blackwell makes another call, this one to numbers that don't appear in any directory. Assemble the team, full tactical loadout, rules of engagement, terminate on site. No, I don't care about collateral damage. This ends tonight. He pauses, listens. The target is Colonel James Brennan, 58 years old, former Force Recon, MARSOC operator, Raven Protocol team leader. Consider him extremely dangerous. Yes, that dangerous. Another pause. Payment is triple standard rate, half now, half on confirmed termination. Bonus if you bring me proof. The call ends. Blackwell stands alone in darkness, starting to thin, dawn approaching, and with it, decisions that will determine whether 30 years of careful work ends in glory or prison. He thinks about the young Marine he once was, the one who believed honor mattered more than advancement, the one who would have arrested men like the one he became. That Marine died somewhere between lieutenant and commander, killed by ambition and opportunity and the seductive logic that ends justify means. Now only the admiral remains, and admirals don't lose to ghosts. Somewhere in the darkness, Brennan and Palmer drive toward a future that includes violence and revelation and choices that will define what remains of their lives. Behind them, the range stands silent, digital scoreboard still displaying the verdict. Hit. Center mass, 4,200 meters, 0.8 MOA group. Evidence that impossible is just another word for untried. Evidence that old warriors still have lessons to teach. Evidence that some ghosts refuse to stay buried. Dawn breaks over California desert. Light spreading across sand that remembers every war, every shot, Every decision made by men who carried heavier burdens than their years suggested. The base begins waking, morning formation, color ceremony, another day of training warriors for wars that politicians start and enlisted personnel finish. But something changed overnight. Word spreads through ranks faster than official communications. The old Marine Colonel, the impossible shot, the challenge answered with precision that made SEALs look amateur. Respect builds in places where respect matters, among men who know what 4,000 meters means, among warriors who understand that sometimes the quiet ones carry the heaviest credentials. Kane hears the whispers in the chow hall, sees the phones replaying footage of Brennan's shot, reads the social media posts going viral among military communities. His carefully constructed image, cracking like ice in spring thaw. The golden boy who got humbled by grandfather wearing silver hair and carry scars like medals. He makes a call, private, away from witnesses. It's Kane, we need to talk, about Brennan, about what happens next. The voice on the other end responds with questions Kane doesn't want to answer. No, I don't know where he is. No, I don't know what his game is. Yes, I understand the timeline. Yes, I'll handle it. He ends the call, stares at his reflection in the bathroom mirror. 32 years old, peaking physically, declining in relevance. Because old men with rifles just redrew the map of respect. And maps once redrawn rarely return to original configuration. The sun climbs higher, temperature rising toward triple digits. Another California desert day where heat shimmers and mirage lies, and steel plates wait patiently for bullets that may never arrive. But somewhere in that heat and shimmer, old ghosts gather strength, waiting for darkness, waiting for opportunity, waiting for justice that's been delayed 2 decades too long. The first shot was fired, not the last, never the last. Because warriors don't quit when the odds turn bad. They reload. And they remember that wars are won by those who outlast rather than those who outrun. The last raven flies again. And this time he's not flying alone. Dawn breaks over Palmer's truck like judgment. The Ford F-150 rumbles through empty base roads. Ancient suspension complaining over potholes that remember different wars. Brennan rides shotgun. Silent. Processing the night's violence with the kind of calm that only comes from men who stopped being surprised by death decades ago. Palmer drives with both hands on the wheel, eyes scanning mirrors every 8 seconds. Muscle memory from convoys where inattention meant improvised explosive devices and body bags sent home to mothers who believed their sons died for something meaningful. Where exactly are we going? Brennan watches the desert turn from black to gray to gold as sunlight crawls over distant mountains. Somewhere Blackwell's satellites can't see. Somewhere his drones can't reach. Somewhere that remembers what honor used to mean. Palmer grunts acknowledgement, turns off base onto Highway 75, heading north, away from Coronado, away from the range where impossible shots became routine, towards something that feels like destiny but might just be 2 old men refusing to die quietly. The memorial park sits 20 miles inland, small, forgotten, dedicated to Marines who fell in operations that never made CNN, no tourists, no school field trips, just weathered granite and names carved deep enough to outlast memory. Palmer parks under a grove of eucalyptus trees imported from Australia in 1943. The trees have outlived the men who planted them, will outlive Palmer and Brennan too, nature being indifferent to human wars and the men who fight them. They walk through morning mist that clings to grass like smoke, past headstones marking lives compressed into 2 dates and a rank, past monuments listing battles that history books forgot because victories don't always look like victories when you count the cost in blood. A figure stands at the far end, back to them, studying a memorial wall black as midnight, names etched in chronological order of sacrifice. Fallujah occupies 3 full panels, 2004 through 2007. Years when Marines learned that winning territory means nothing when politicians won't hold it. The figure turns. Lieutenant Commander Alex Rivera, 54 years old, face carved from scar tissue and determination. Eyes carrying ghosts that wake him screaming most nights. Left arm ending at the elbow. The prosthetic hands sophisticated enough to fool casual observation. Close inspection reveals the truth. Some prices get paid in flesh. Brennan stops walking. Heart rate spikes to 72. First emotional response in 20 years. The kind that comes from seeing dead men breathing. Alex, 1 word. Loaded with 2 decades of grief and guilt and questions that pile up in the darkness between midnight and dawn. Rivera's expression doesn't change, but his good hand moves fractionally toward the pistol undoubtedly concealed beneath his jacket. Then recognition registers. The hand relaxes. James, took you long enough. His voice carries damage. Vocal cords scarred from smoke inhalation. From screaming for medics who never came. From calling coordinates to artillery that arrived 6 minutes too late to matter. Palmer hangs back, giving them space, understanding that some reunions require witnesses but not participants. Brennan closes the distance, stops at arm's length, studies the man who used to lead Raven Protocol through places where the Geneva Conventions were suggestions rather than rules. They told me you were dead, all of you, killed in the airstrike. They told me the same, about you, about Marcus, about everyone who saw what Blackwell did. But you survived. Rivera's jaw tightens, muscle working beneath skin that remembers burns. Survived is generous. I got buried under 3 tons of rubble. Took me 42 hours to dig out. By the time I reached the surface, everyone was gone. Medevac, body bags, official reports already filed. I was listed KYA because nobody bothered checking if the body bag with my name actually contained my body. Where have you been? Everywhere. Nowhere. Places without extradition treaties. Countries where American admirals can't reach. Documenting. Recording. Building the kind of evidence that stands up in court-martial proceedings. Rivera pulls an encrypted drive from his pocket, military grade, the kind that self-destructs if opened incorrectly. Hands it to Brennan with ceremony that feels religious. 20 years, every financial transaction, every communication, every order Blackwell gave that killed our people. It's all here. Brennan weighs the drive in his palm, 4 ounces of plastic and silicon, heavy as graveyards. Why wait 20 years? Why not expose him immediately? Because exposure without conviction means nothing. Blackwell had political cover, friends in Congress, allies at the Pentagon. Going public in 2004 would have meant my death and his promotion. So I waited, watched, documented, let him build his fortress so high that the fall would destroy everything he built. Palmer approaches now, close enough to hear, far enough to maintain tactical spacing. And now, Rivera's expression hardens into something that might be a smile if smiles could cut. Now he's 42 days from becoming Chief of Naval Operations, highest position in naval service. Once he gets confirmed, he becomes untouchable, protected by rank and tradition and the institutional reflex that protects its own. We have 6 weeks to destroy him. After that, he wins forever. The 3 men stand in morning light that feels too clean for the conversation happening, discussing murder and justice like they're the same thing. Maybe they are. Maybe that's what happens when the system designed to deliver justice becomes the thing enabling crimes. Brennan inserts the drive into a laptop Rivera produces from a weathered backpack. Military issue. Hardened against electromagnetic pulse. Designed to survive conditions that kill consumer electronics. Files cascade across the screen. Years of investigation compressed into gigabytes. Bank records showing offshore accounts. Communication intercepts proving coordination with foreign arms dealers. Satellite imagery documenting meetings that never appeared on official calendars. And photographs. Always photographs. Blackwell shaking hands with men whose faces appear on terrorist watch lists. Blackwell accepting payment in currencies that don't flow through legitimate banking systems. Blackwell ordering operations that resulted in American casualties while filling accounts in countries that don't honor subpoenas. This is enough to convict him 10 times over. Rivera nods slowly. Should be. Would be, if we could get it in front of someone who cares more about justice than career preservation. But every avenue goes through people who owe Blackwell favors. Every investigation gets buried by men who worry about their own dirt getting exposed. Then what's the play? Public exposure. Force it into sunlight where institutional reflexes can't protect him. Media, congressional oversight, make it too big to bury quietly. Palmer studies the files with experienced eyes. 20 years maintaining armories teaches pattern recognition. He points at a series of transactions. These payments, routed through same shell corporation the contractors used last night. Phoenix Solutions. Blackwell's have been using them for every hit since 2006. Rivera zooms in on the financial records. Follows the money through layers of corporate obfuscation. Delaware LLCs owning Cayman Island trusts owning Luxembourgian holding companies. But patterns emerge. Same signatures, same approval chains, same man authorizing payments for murders disguised as accidents. 7 other Ravens, all dead, all officially accidents or combat losses, all killed by contractors paid through this network. The names appear on screen, each one a punch to the gut, each one a brother who trusted the system to protect them, each one wrong. Gunnery Sergeant Michael Nolan. Car bomb, Kabul, 2006. Staff Sergeant David Chen. Climbing accident, Colorado, 2009. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes. Drowning, Philippines, 2011. Corporal James Diaz. Sniper, Yemen, 2014. Sergeant Peter Kim, IED Syria, 2017. Captain Robert Morrison. Plane crash, Nevada, 2019. Warrant Officer Thomas Jackson. Suicide, staged, 2022. He's been systematically eliminating everyone who witnessed the arms deal. Everyone except us, because he thought we died in Fallujah. Your shot yesterday announced we're still breathing. Now he's scrambling, desperate, making mistakes. Brennan closes the laptop. The names burn into his retinas. Brothers who deserve better than murder disguised as misfortune. We need to draw him out, force him to act publicly where there are witnesses he can't silence. The memorial ceremony. Both men turn to Palmer. The old armorer's expression carries knowledge earned in places where thinking 3 moves ahead meant survival. Command scheduled official Raven Protocol memorial. 3 days from now, 20-year anniversary, finally declassified, families invited, media present, senior officers required to attend. Blackwell will be there, protocol demands it. Declining would raise questions. Rivera's eyes narrow. He'll use it as opportunity. Public place, crowds, confusion. Perfect cover for contractors to eliminate us and blame it on random violence. Exactly, which is why we use it first. Confront him during ceremony, present evidence, force confession on camera, broadcast everything live before he can shut it down. Brennan processes the plan, identifies 17 ways it fails catastrophically, identifies 0 better alternatives. He'll bring security, private contractors, men loyal to paychecks rather than oaths. Good. Let him bring everyone. Makes the evidence more damning when we expose him surrounded by the men he's paying to commit murder. Palmer pulls out his phone. Ancient flip model, no GPS, no data connection, the kind that requires physical access to compromise. Dials a number from memory. Bishop, it's Palmer. We're moving timeline up. 3 days, memorial ceremony, coordinate with your people. Yes, everyone. This ends publicly or not at all. He ends the call without waiting for response. Old habits from operations where extended communication meant triangulation and drone strikes. Who's Bishop? Former NCIS investigator, retired under suspicious circumstances after getting too close to Blackwell's network. Been building parallel case for 15 years. Has evidence from different angle. Financial crimes, contract fraud, enough to support our testimony. The pieces assemble. 3 separate investigations, 3 different approaches, 3 decades of patience converging on single moment. The kind of convergence that changes history or gets everyone killed. We have 3 days to prepare. 3 days to wire the memorial wall, plant cameras, establish redundant broadcast channels, make it impossible for Blackwell to stop the exposure once it starts. Rivera nods agreement, then pauses, expression shifting to something that might be concern if concern didn't suggest weakness. There's one variable we haven't discussed, Kane. The name hangs in morning air like cordite. Master Chief Dylan Kane, SEAL Team 7, Blackwell's golden boy, son of the late Lieutenant Commander William Kane. William Kane, who died in 2008. Training accident, or so the official report claims. Palmer pulls up another file on the laptop. Service record, accident investigation, autopsy report that raises more questions than it answers. William Kane was investigating Blackwell, had evidence of the Fallujah cover-up, died 3 weeks before scheduled testimony to Inspector General. His death report concludes accidental discharge during routine maintenance, except the weapon in question had 3 separate safety mechanisms, all of which would have prevented accidental discharge. Murder, obviously. Dylan Kane was 16 when his father died, joined Navy at 18, made SEAL by 23, fastest advancement in Team 7 history. Blackwell's been his mentor since boot camp. Brennan recalls Kane's face during the briefing, the deliberate humiliation, the coffee spilled on files, the casual cruelty of men who never learn that respect must be earned. You think he knows about his father? Unknown. Could be true believer who thinks Blackwell's a hero, could be playing double game. gathering evidence like we are. Could be wild-carded, waiting to see which way wine blows before choosing sides. Dangerous variable. Most dangerous kind. The unpredictable ones kill more people than enemies. At least enemies telegraph intent. They pack the laptop, secure the drive, prepare to leave this place of memories and ghosts. But Rivera stops at the memorial wall, runs his good hand over names carved into black granite. Staff Sergeant David Prophet King, killed in action. Fallujah, November 2004. Corporal Miguel Fortress Reyes, killed in action. Fallujah, November 2004. Hospital Corpsman Lucas Mercy Hayes, killed in action. Fallujah, November 2004. They deserve better than this. Better than being murdered by the man who was supposed to lead them. Brennan joins him against the wall, places his hand beside Rivera's. Two old warriors, scarred and broken and still breathing when better men died young. Then we give them justice, even if it's 20 years late. Justice or revenge? Is there a difference? Rivera's laugh sounds like gravel in a blender. Ask me after it's done, if we're still alive to ask. They drive back separately. 3 different routes. 3 different speeds. Protocol from operations where traveling together meant one ambush killed everyone. Survival requiring paranoia and the willingness to act on worst-case scenarios. Brennan rides with Palmer, the old truck rattling down highways that remember different America. The one that existed before 9/11. Before wars that lasted longer than the soldiers fighting them. Before the military-industrial complex learned that endless war generates endless profit. You trust Rivera? Palmer's hands never leave 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. With my life, already have, will again. That's not what I asked. Then ask better questions. They drive in silence that feels comfortable. The kind that comes from men who spent enough time together that words become optional. Understanding flowing through shared experience rather than verbal communication. But Brennan's mind works through scenarios. Rivera appearing exactly when needed. Evidence perfectly organized. Plan that requires trusting men who spent 20 years in shadows. Variables that multiply faster than solutions. Trust being the first casualty of covert operations, followed closely by certainty, then innocence, then the belief that good triumphs because it's good rather than because it's ruthless. The base appears on horizon, Coronado, Naval Amphibious Base, home to SEAL Team and Maritime Expeditionary Security, where young warriors learn that being elite means embracing discomfort until discomfort becomes baseline. Palmer parks 3 blocks from Brennan's quarters. Tactical spacing, never park where surveillance expects, never create patterns that allow prediction. 3 days until memorial, what's your play until then? Stay visible, make Blackwell nervous, force him to commit resources to watching me, resources he can't use elsewhere. Dangerous. Breathing is dangerous, dying is permanent. I'll take dangerous. Palmer almost smiles, the expression foreign to face muscles that forgot how. You always were the crazy one, even back in Fallujah. Crazy keeps you alive when sane men freeze. They clasp hands. Warriors grip. Pressure that communicates trust and respect and understanding that tomorrow might bring violence neither man survives. Brennan walks toward his quarters, knows he's being watched, counts 3 separate surveillance positions. Amateur work. Contractors who learned in military but forgot that veterans recognize veteran tactics. His phone vibrates. Text message from unknown number. Needed talk. Private. Pier 7. 2200 hours. Come alone. Kane. Brennan deletes the message. But memory remains. Kane requesting meeting. Location isolated. Time after dark. Classic setup for ambush. Or classic setup for someone who needs to talk without Blackwell knowing. Variables multiplying. Certainty dying. The fog of peace being thicker than fog of war. Because at least in war, you know who's shooting. Night falls like betrayal. Brennan approaches Pier 7 with every sense screaming warnings. The pier sits abandoned. Decommissioned in 2015. Budget cuts and changing mission requirements. Now just rotting wood and rusted metal. Home to rats and memories. Kane waits at the far end, silhouette against water that reflects city lights like broken glass. He stands with military bearing, but something in his posture suggests tension. The kind that comes from men carrying weights they can't share. Colonel, thank you for coming. Brennan stops 20 feet away, maintains distance, keeps options open, hand resting casually on pistol concealed beneath jacket. You've got 5 minutes to explain why I shouldn't assume this is ambush. Kane turns fully, face visible in ambient light, expression carrying something that might be desperation if SEALs allowed themselves desperate emotions. Because I need your help, and you need mine, and we're both running out of time to stop Blackwell. Why would I trust you? Because my father was Lieutenant Commander William Kane, and Blackwell had him murdered 20 years ago to cover up Fallujah. The words land clean, no hesitation, no deception markers. But deception artists practice until lies sound like truth. Blackwell's been your mentor since boot camp. Blackwell's been my target since I understood what really happened. He thinks I'm loyal, thinks I'm the son seeking to honor father's legacy by following father's murderer. Really, I've been documenting everything, waiting for the right moment to destroy him. Kane pulls out his phone, shows photographs. Blackwell meeting with contractors, financial transfers, communications that shouldn't exist between admirals and private military companies. I've been embedded in his network for 14 years, playing dutiful protege while recording every crime, every order, every payment. I have evidence that corroborates everything Rivera collected. Brennan studies the photos. Metadata shows timestamps, locations, context that matches Rivera's intelligence. Why reveal yourself now? Because your shot 3 days ago changed everything. Blackwell's panicking, moving timeline up. He's planning to eliminate all threats at the memorial ceremony, including you, including Rivera, including everyone who knows the truth. I can't stop him alone. Need your help. What kind of help? I'm supposed to lead the security detail at the memorial. Contractors, Phoenix Solutions, 12 men, all loyal to paychecks. I can position them away from you, create gaps in coverage, give you opportunity to confront Blackwell without getting shot before you finish. Brennan processes this, finds 3 immediate problems. If you're leading security, Blackwell trusts you. You help us. You burn that cover forever. Cover doesn't matter after memorial. Either we expose him and he goes to prison, or he eliminates us and wins. No middle ground, no more waiting. Second problem, how do I know this isn't elaborate setup? You feed me information. I trust you. Walk into memorial believing I have ally. Really, you've positioned me exactly where Blackwell wants. Kane's expression doesn't change, but his jaw tightens fractionally. You don't know. Can't know. Trust being impossible commodity in operations like this. But consider logic. If I wanted you dead, easier ways exist than elaborate theater. Could have killed you during the contractor assault 2 nights ago. Could shoot you right now, nobody around. Body wouldn't surface for weeks. Valid point. Uncomfortable but valid. Third problem. Even if you're legitimate, even if you help us at memorial, Blackwell has resources beyond contractors. Political connections, media influence, legal teams. Exposing him publicly doesn't guarantee conviction, which is why we don't just expose crimes. We force confession on camera, live broadcast, make it impossible for lawyers to spin, impossible for politicians to bury. Give American people truth raw enough that institutional protection fails. How? Kane pulls up another file on his phone. Architectural diagrams, memorial hall layout, security camera positions, network infrastructure. I've been planning this for 5 years, waiting for catalyst. Your resurrection provided it. Here's how we do it. The plan unfolds with precision that suggests military intelligence background. Multiple camera angles, redundant broadcast streams, backup power supplies. Dead man switches that trigger automatic uploads if anything happens to the operators. Rivera provides historical evidence. You provide testimony as survivor. I provide current intelligence proving ongoing conspiracy. We present everything simultaneously during ceremony. Force Blackwell to either confess or deny in front of witnesses he can't silence. He'll deny, claim it's fabricated, which is why we have this. Kane shows final photo, audio waveform, timestamp from 6 hours ago. Recording of Blackwell ordering your assassination, captured from his personal phone, so NSA-level surveillance. Inadmissible in court because I obtained it illegally, but perfect for public exposure because truth doesn't require warrant. Brennan listens to the audio. Blackwell's voice clear as judgment. Assemble the team, full tactical loadout. Rules of engagement terminate on site. Target is Colonel James Brennan. Consider him extremely dangerous. Payment triple standard rate. The voice, the tone, the casual ordering of murder like ordering office supplies. Everything needed to destroy career built on lies. You've been planning this longer than we have. Since I was 16. Since they handed me a flag and told me Dad died serving his country. Took me 8 years to learn truth. 6 more to get close enough to Blackwell to matter. Now it's time. They stand in darkness, listening to water lap against rotting pier pilings. Two warriors from different generations, different motivations, same target. If this is legitimate, you're risking everything. Career, freedom, possibly life. My father risked everything for truth, got murdered for it. Least I can do is finish what he started. Brennan makes decision, the kind that determines whether you die old and safe or young and meaningful. Memorial ceremony, 3 days, be ready. Always ready, it's what SEALs do. Kane walks away first. Tactical protocol. Never leave together, never create patterns. Brennan waits 5 minutes, watching for surveillance, for ambush, for any indicator this was set up. Nothing moves. Nobody appears. Just darkness and water, and the weight of decisions that can't be unmade. He returns to quarters by different route, finds Palmer waiting inside. The old armorer somehow bypassed locks that should have prevented entry. Kane claims he's been undercover 14 years, documenting Blackwell, wants to help us at Memorial. You believe him? Belief is luxury. We verify what we can, prepare for worst, hope for best. Palmer nods slowly. Rivera called while you were gone. Says he found another Raven survivor. Captain Lisa Moreno, officially died 2011 Philippines drowning. Actually witness protection after she reported Blackwell's activities to Navy JAG. They buried her testimony, buried her identity, kept her alive but silenced. Where is she? Montana? Small town? New name? New life. Rivera's bringing her in for Memorial. She has testimony from inside the system. Proves they knew about Blackwell and covered it up anyway. The pieces multiply. More survivors, more testimony, more evidence, but also more variables, more people to protect, more ways for plans to fail. This is getting complicated. War is always complicated. That's why simple men lose. Brennan almost laughs. But laughter feels wrong when discussing vengeance disguised as justice. They spend the night planning, diagramming the memorial hall, identifying firing positions, calculating angles of approach, preparing for the possibility that exposure requires violence before truth emerges. Because old warriors know something young operators learn late or not at all. Sometimes the only way to peace requires going through war, and sometimes justice wears combat boots and carries rifle. Dawn arrives without permission. Light spreading across base like accusation. Brennan hasn't slept, doesn't need sleep, runs on something older than rest. The kind of energy that comes from knowing the ending approaches. His phone rings, unknown number. He answers without speaking. Colonel Brennan, this is Admiral Blackwell. The voice, cold, controlled, carrying authority earned through rank and maintained through fear. Admiral, I understand we've had some unfortunate incidents. Contractors operating without proper authorization. Mistakes that won't happen again. Mistakes that killed one man and wounded 2 others. Regrettable. I've launched investigation. Appropriate parties will face consequences. I'm sure they will. Silence on the line. The kind that communicates more than words. 2 men who understand the game, who know the rules, who realize the memorial in 3 days determines which one survives. I look forward to seeing you at the ceremony, Colonel. Your service to Raven Protocol deserves recognition. Recognition 20 years overdue. Better late than never. Wouldn't you agree? Depends on what arrives late, justice or consequences. Sometimes they're the same thing. The call ends. Brennan stares at the phone. Message received. Blackwell knows about the memorial plan, knows they're preparing to expose him, knows and doesn't care because he's preparing countermeasures. The game accelerates. 3 days becoming countdown. Countdown to collision between old ghosts and current power, between truth-seeking light and darkness defending territory. Palmer emerges from the bathroom, reads Brennan's expression. Blackwell, making sure I know he knows. Psychological warfare, trying to make me doubt, make me hesitate. Will it work? Brennan's expression hardens into something that might scare men who don't know what real monsters look like. No, because I stopped being scared of death in Fallujah, and men who don't fear death are impossible to intimidate. 3 days until the memorial. 3 days until old ghosts face the man who created them. 3 days until justice or revenge or whatever word applies when the two become indistinguishable. The clock counts down. The pieces position themselves, and somewhere in the California desert, steel plates wait for bullets that always arrive eventually. Because that's what bullets do. They arrive. They impact. They change everything. The last Raven prepares to fly. And this time, the target is clear. Day 1 of 3. Memorial Hall stands empty, cavernous space designed for ceremonies that honor sacrifice. Wooden pews arranged in precise rows. American flags flanking a stage draped in navy blue. Photographs of Raven Protocol operators displayed on easels. Young faces frozen before Fallujah taught them what dying really means. Brennan walks the perimeter, counting steps, measuring angles, identifying firing positions that contractors might use. Old habits from operations where paranoia kept you breathing and complacency got you buried. Rivera works the technical side, installing miniature cameras in ceiling vents, running fiber optic cables through floor ducts, creating surveillance network that feeds to servers located off base, redundant systems, multiple backup channels, the kind of setup that survives attempts to shut it down. Palmer handles communications, encrypted radios distributed to each participant, frequency hopping technology that prevents jamming. Deadman switches that trigger, automatic uploads if anything happens to the operators. Insurance policy written in ones and zeros. Camera 7 online, feed stable. Rivera's voice crackles through the radio. Professional, controlled. The tone of men who learn to communicate clearly when bullets make hearing difficult. Copy, positioning camera 8. They work in silence, broken only by necessary communication. 3 old warriors preparing battlefield, knowing that ceremony in 2 days might be last thing they do. Making peace with that peaceability, because making peace is what professionals do. The door opens, afternoon light streams through, silhouette appears. Female, compact, moving with economy that suggests military training. Captain Lisa Moreno, 47 years old, officially dead since 2011. Actually alive and angry. She crosses the hall with purpose, stops in front of Brennan, studies his face like she's confirming something. You look older than your file photo. File photo was taken before I got buried under building. Age you fast. Her expression softens fractionally. They told me everyone died. Spent 13 years thinking I was only survivor. They told us the same. Turns out dying is harder than Blackwell expected. She pulls out her own encrypted drive, military grade, waterproof, designed to survive conditions that destroy normal electronics. Navy JAG testimony, 2011, I reported Blackwell's arms deals to Judge Advocate General, provided evidence, named witnesses. They buried everything, threatened me with court-martial if I pushed harder. Then contractors tried to kill me. Navy put me in witness protection, changed my identity, made me promise to stay silent. Why break silence now? Because silence got 7 Ravens murdered. Because staying hidden means Blackwell wins. Because I'm tired of living scared. Brennan takes the drive, adds it to growing collection. Evidence multiplying faster than variables. But variables multiply too. Does Blackwell know you're alive? Unknown. Witness protection was handled by NCCIS, compartmented information. But if he has moles in NICIS, he knows. If he knows, contractors are already positioning. Let them position. We're ready. Palmer descends from the ceiling access, dust covering his shoulders, cobwebs in his silver hair. He looks at Moreno with recognition that comes from shared experience. Lisa, good to see you breathing. Marcus, same. They embrace briefly. Warriors who survived what kills most people. Understanding flowing between them without words. Hall's wired, 37 cameras, 14 microphones, 6 independent uplinks. Blackwell shuts down one, others activate automatically. Good. What about physical security? Rivera joins them now. Laptop under his arm, face carrying satisfaction that comes from technical problems solved. Exits covered, sight lines identified, counter sniper positions marked. If contractors attack during ceremony, we'll see them coming. Unless they're already inside, everyone turns to the door. Kane stands there, seal dress blues, ribbons arranged in perfect rows, bronze stars gleaming, the image of naval excellence, the mask hiding whatever truth exists underneath. Kane wasn't expecting you until tomorrow. Blackwell moved timeline, wants security walkthrough tonight. Full sweep, checking for exactly what you're installing. The tension shifts, becomes physical. Hands move toward weapons. Nobody draws. But preparation happens in muscle memory and tactical spacing. You going to report what you find? Kane's expression doesn't change, but his eyes carry weight. Depends what I find. If I find old friends preparing to honor fallen brothers, I'll report empty hall. If I find terrorists plotting assassination, different story. Which do you see? I see warriors who deserve truth, an admiral who deserves prison, Easy choice. He crosses to Rivera, examines the laptop, studies the camera feeds, nods slowly. Good coverage, but camera 12 has blind spot. Contractor could position there with suppressed rifle. Take out speakers without being recorded. Rivera zooms in on the angle, calculates, curses quietly. You're right, missed it. I'll position camera 13 to cover gap. Make it look like routine security upgrade. Blackwell won't question. The dynamic shifts again. Kane participating, contributing, either genuine ally or elaborate trap. No way to know until moment of truth arrives. Blackwell's bringing how many contractors? 16. Phoenix Solutions. Same team that failed to kill you in BOQ. They want redemption. He's paying triple rate. 16 versus 4. Poor odds. 5. Everyone looks at Kane. 5 versus 16. I'm in. Been waiting 14 years for this. Palmer studies him with eyes that learn to detect lies in places where lies meant death. If you're playing us, son, there won't be enough left to bury. If I'm playing you, I deserve whatever comes, but I'm not. My father died pursuing justice. Time I finished his work. Brennan makes decision, the kind that determines whether you trust until betrayed or suspect until proven. Neither option perfect. Both better than paralysis. Welcome to Raven Protocol. Try not to get us killed. Same to you, Colonel. They spend the night finalizing preparations. Kane provides security layouts, contractor positions, communication protocols. Information that either saves lives or dooms everyone depending on whether he's legitimate. Dawn arrives. Day 2 of 3, families begin appearing. Prophet King's younger brother. 62 years old now, older than Prophet ever got to be. He carries photograph of 2 brothers fishing. Before war, before sacrifice, before Gold Star families became statistics. Fortress Reyes' widow, 74 years old, arthritis in hands that used to braid daughter's hair. Daughter who grew up without father because friendly fire isn't friendly when it's deliberate murder. Mercy Hayes' parents, both in their 80s, moving slow, carrying grief that 20 years hasn't lightened. They clutch memorial program like holy text, reading their son's name over and over, making sure someone remembers. Brennan greets each family, shakes hands that tremble with age and emotion, accepts embraces from mothers who want to touch someone who knew their sons, who can confirm their boys were heroes rather than just names on forms. Thank you for coming. Prophet's brother grips Brennan's hand with surprising strength. Thank you for surviving, for remembering, for making sure they matter. They always mattered. To you, to us, but not to the men who sent them to bomb. Not to the system that forgot them. The system is about to remember, I promise you that. The old man's eyes sharpen, reading subtext, understanding that promises from warriors carry different weight than promises from politicians. Good. Make them remember. Make it hurt. The families fill the front rows. 23 people total. Parents, siblings, widows, children who barely remember, fathers who died when they were young. Gold Star legacy spanning generations. The cost of war measured in empty chairs at Christmas. Palmer positions himself in the sound booth, controlling audio, managing feeds, ready to broadcast everything the moment ceremony begins. His hands move across equipment with precision learned from decades of practice. Rivera sits in back row, laptop open, monitoring camera feeds, watching for threats, finger resting on dead man switch. If anything happens to him, everything uploads automatically. Evidence too distributed to contain. Moreno mingles with families, providing comfort, sharing memories, playing role of fellow mourner, actually serving as counter-surveillance, eyes scanning crowd, looking for faces that don't belong, behavior that suggests threat. Kane coordinates with the contractors outside, 12 visible, 4 concealed, positioning according to plan he shared, either setting trap or providing protection. Schrodinger's security detail, both states existing until observed. Blackwell arrives at 1400 hours. Staff car, driver, aide carrying briefcase. The admiral emerges in service dress blues. Ribbons covering left breast, 2 stars gleaming. The image of naval leadership. The monster wearing admiral's uniform. He enters the hall like he owns it, because technically he does. Rank providing authority, position providing power. 20 years of murder providing confidence that consequences don't apply to men with connections. His eyes scan the room, professional assessment, identifying threats, measuring vulnerabilities. He sees Brennan. Expression doesn't change, but something flickers. Recognition, concern, calculation. Colonel Brennan, good to see you. Admiral. They shake hands. Performance for watching families. Two professionals displaying courtesy. Really two predators circling, waiting for opening. Tomorrow will be meaningful ceremony. These families deserve recognition. They deserve truth. Truth, justice, recognition, sometimes the same thing, sometimes not. Tomorrow we find out which. Blackwell's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Looking forward to it. He moves to front row, greets families, expresses sympathy that sounds rehearsed because it is, offers platitudes about service and sacrifice, words empty as his conscience. Prophet's brother accepts handshake, but his grip tightens, holds longer than protocol requires, stares into Blackwell's eyes with intensity that makes the admiral uncomfortable. My brother trusted you, followed your orders, died because of your decisions. Your brother died serving his country heroically. My brother died because someone betrayed him. I intend to learn who. Blackwell extracts his hand, steps back. Professional smile strained now. Tomorrow we honor all our fallen. Their sacrifice won't be forgotten. He retreats to rear of hall, positions himself where he can observe without being observed. Classic counter-surveillance position. The admiral knows tradecraft, learned it same place as Brennan did. Just used it differently. Night falls. Families retire to guest quarters on base. Participants gather in Palmer's armory. Secure location, no windows. Swept for listening devices 3 times. The kind of room where conspiracies become plans. Rivera projects files onto wall. Evidence displayed in chronological order. Timeline of corruption spanning 2 decades. Each transaction documented. Each murder proven. Each lie exposed. 2004. Blackwell facilitates arms transfer. Stinger missiles to Iraqi insurgents. Payment $3.7 million routed through shell corporations. Raven Protocol witnesses transaction. Blackwell orders airstrike on our position to eliminate witnesses. Photos appear. Satellite imagery, bank records, communication intercepts. 2006. Gunnery Sergeant Nolan survives Fallujah, relocates to Kabul. Contractors kill him with car bomb. Payment routed through Phoenix Solutions. Blackwell's signature on authorization. More photos, forensic evidence, financial trails. 2009. Staff Sergeant Chen survives, retires to Colorado, dies in climbing accident. Except autopsy shows injuries inconsistent with falls. Consistent with being thrown. Phoenix Solutions operative identified at scene. Payment traced to Blackwell. The pattern continues. 7 murders. 7 Ravens eliminated, 7 families destroyed, all to protect one man's career and bank account. Moreno adds her testimony. 2011, I report Blackwell to Navy JAG, provide evidence. Name witnesses. JAG buries investigation, contractors attempt assassination. Navy puts me in witness protection, threatens court-martial if I expose cover-up. Kane contributes his intelligence. Current day, Blackwell positioned for Chief of Naval Operations. Confirmation in 39 days. Once confirmed, becomes untouchable. Protected by rank and institutional loyalty, our window closes after tomorrow. Brennan stands, addresses the group. Tomorrow we end this. 20 years of murder, 20 years of corruption, 20 years of good men dying while bad men prosper. We present evidence, force confession, broadcast truth, make it impossible to bury. And if he doesn't confess, if he denies everything, then we have evidence that stands without confession. Financial records, communication intercepts, testimony from multiple survivors, enough to convict in court-martial. Assuming court-martial happens, assuming someone with authority cares enough to prosecute, they'll care when evidence goes public, when families demand answers, when media ask questions, when senators face constituents who vote. Palmer interjects from his position by the door. And if contractors attack during ceremony, if Blackwell decides killing us is easier than facing justice, then we defend ourselves, and we make sure cameras record everything. Dead martyrs sometimes accomplish more than living witnesses. The room goes quiet. Men processing mortality, women calculating odds, everyone understanding that tomorrow might be last day they see. Rivera breaks silence. My daughter's graduating high school next month. If I don't make it, someone tell her I died finishing what mattered. Moreno follows. My sister thinks I died 13 years ago. If tomorrow goes bad, tell her I lived long enough to matter. Kane speaks last. My father died pursuing this. If I die finishing it, that's acceptable cost. Brennan looks at each face. Warriors who chose mission over safety, justice over survival, truth over breathing. Tomorrow we honor the dead by exposing the man who killed them. And if we die doing it, we die in better company than he'll ever know. They clasp hands. Warriors bond, understanding flowing without words. Whatever happens tomorrow, they face it together. The night passes slowly. Brennan doesn't sleep, sits in darkness, reviewing plans, identifying failure points, calculating probabilities, coming to peace with variables he can't control. His phone vibrates. Text message, unknown number. Last chance. Walk away, disappear. Live. Refuse and die. Your choice. Brennan deletes the message. Blackwell's final offer. Survival in exchange for silence. Living versus mattering. The choice that defines character. He types response. Some things worth dying for. Justice for murdered brothers qualifies. See you tomorrow. Send. The message delivers. Read receipt appears. No response comes. Blackwell understanding that negotiation ended. Tomorrow brings confrontation. Winner determined by preparation and will, in which side God favors if God bothers with the affairs of warriors. Dawn breaks. Day 3. Memorial Day. The air tastes electric. Ozone before lightning. Tension thick enough to cut. Families arrive early, dressed in formal clothes, carrying photographs, wearing memorial pins. Gold Star mothers, Silver Star widows, Bronze Star siblings, the aristocracy of sacrifice. Brennan wears dress blues, service alpha, ribbons earned in places he can't discuss, medals representing actions that remain classified. The uniform fitting differently than it did at 30, tighter in middle, looser in shoulders, age redistributing mass according to gravity's preferences. Kane coordinates security, contractors positioned according to plan, 12 visible, 4 concealed, weapons hidden but accessible, the illusion of safety masking potential for violence. Rivera monitors feeds, 37 cameras recording, 14 microphones live, 6 uplinks active, everything routing to servers that survive building destruction, the technical infrastructure of truth. Palmer manages audio, sound system calibrated, microphones tested, broadcast ready, waiting for signal to go live, to turn memorial ceremony into trial, private grief into public exposure. Moreno sits with families, providing comfort, sharing stories, actually watching doors, counting exits, identifying threats, the eternal vigilance of soldiers who survived by never relaxing. 1000 hours, ceremony begins. Base chaplain delivers invocation, words about sacrifice and service, phrases polished smooth by repetition, meaning diluted by overuse. But families bow heads anyway, seeking comfort in ritual. Base commander speaks next. Rear Admiral Pierce, career officer, competent, honest, unaware that sitting 3 rows behind him is Admiral who ordered murders. Reading speech about honor, written by staff who never deployed. Then Brennan's turn. He approaches podium, looks at families, sees grief aged 2 decades but never diminished, sees children now adults, sees parents who buried sons, sees widows who never remarried because some loves don't get replaced. 20 years ago, 7 warriors died in Fallujah. Staff Sergeant David Prophet King, Corporal Miguel Fortress Reyes, Hospital Corpsman Lucas Mercy Hayes. These men represented the best of Marine Corps, the best of America, the best of what humans can be when purpose exceeds self-interest. The families lean forward, hungry for words that honor their dead. Prophet taught me to read wind, not with instruments, with exposed skin and patience, and understanding that nature speaks to those who listen. He could feel atmospheric changes before they registered on equipment. That skill kept us alive through 17 missions, until the 18th. Prophet's brother wipes eyes, nodding, remembering. Fortress held breach positions that should have required 4 men. Did it alone, with precision that seemed impossible until you watched him work. Economy of motion, 0 wasted energy. Professional violence applied with surgical precision. He saved our team 11 times. We couldn't save him once. Fortress's widow grips her daughter's hand, both women crying quietly. Mercy sang hymns while treating wounded. Amazing grace through gunfire. Holy, holy, holy during arterial bleeding. His voice carried calm that stopped panic. That saved lives. He stitched 43 wounds under sustained fire, died trying for 44. Mercy's parents hold each other, old grief freshly opened. These men died because someone betrayed them. The room goes quiet, dangerous quiet. Brennan's voice hardens. They died because someone sold their coordinates to enemy forces, because someone ordered friendly fire on American position, because someone decided their lives mattered less than his career. Families sit straighter, understanding shift happening. Blackwell moves in rear seats, preparing to intervene, but curious where this goes. That someone sits in this room, wearing admiral's uniform, carrying authority earned through competence and maintained through murder. Gasps from families. Confusion, horror, understanding dawning. Admiral Victor Blackwell ordered the airstrike that killed these men. Not enemy action, friendly fire, deliberate, calculated, designed to eliminate witnesses to arms trafficking. Blackwell stands, face controlled but pale. Colonel Brennan, this is inappropriate forum for unfounded accusations. Accusations backed by evidence. Financial records showing $3.7 million payment. Communication intercepts proving coordination with enemy forces. Testimony from survivors who witnessed transactions. Rivera activates broadcast. Red lights appear on cameras. Live feed going to servers, to media outlets, to congressional offices. Everything public now. Irreversible. Blackwell sees the lights, understands implications, reaches for phone. Kane intercepts him, hand on Blackwell's wrist, gentle pressure preventing movement. I wouldn't, Admiral. Cameras recording, families watching, any aggressive action becomes evidence. Blackwell's eyes narrow, recognition hitting. Kane, you're with them. I'm with justice, like my father taught me, before you had him killed. The confession comes loaded with 20 years of rage controlled until this moment. Blackwell jerks away, looks for contractors, finding them frozen, uncertain, torn between paychecks and being recorded committing crimes on live television. This is conspiracy, mutiny, treason. Rivera stands, laptop open, evidence displayed on screen behind Brennan. This is truth, documented, verified, distributed beyond your ability to contain. Files scroll across screen, bank records, photos, communication logs. 20 years of murder compressed into irrefutable proof. Families watch in horror and understanding. Their loved ones didn't die heroically, died murdered by the man assigned to protect them. Prophet's brother rises, voice shaking with rage barely contained. You killed my brother, to hide theft, to protect career. Fortress's widow follows. 20 years. 20 years I believed he died serving honorably. He died murdered by his own commander. Mercy's father, 86 years old, hands trembling, voice steady. You will face justice in court or from God, either works. Blackwell backs toward exit, calculating, measuring, looking for escape that doesn't exist. You have no authority to detain me, no jurisdiction. This is a legal tribunal. This is memorial service, featuring testimony from survivors about crimes committed by officer present, recorded, broadcast, public record now. Sirens approach from distance, multiple vehicles, NCIS, Navy, JAG, FBI. Coordinated response triggered by broadcast. Blackwell reaches inside jacket. Contractors react. Weapons appear, aimed at Brennan, at Rivera, at Kane. Time slows. Families scream. Palmer kills the lights. Darkness falls total and complete. Muzzle flashes strobe like lightning. Brennan moves on instinct. 40 years of training overriding conscious thought. Tackles Blackwell, both men falling, weapon discharging, round impacting ceiling. Rivera returns fire. Suppressed pistol coughing. Contractor falls. Second contractor adjusts aim. Kane shoots his own team. 3 rounds, 3 contractors down, eliminating threats. Proving loyalty written in blood. Moreno shields families. Body between civilians and gunfire. Round impacts her shoulder. She stays standing. Returns fire. Professional even wounded. Palmer activates emergency lighting. Red bulbs casting hellish glow. Revealing carnage. 6 contractors down. 3 dead. 3 wounded. Blackwell pinned beneath Brennan. Families huddled against walls. Chaos contained by warriors who train for chaos. NCIS storms through doors. Weapons raised. Professional clearing procedures. Federal agents, everyone down. Brennan releases Blackwell. Raises hands. Professional compliance. Colonel James Brennan, United States Marine Corps, retired. This man is under citizen's arrest for murder of 7 service members. Special agent in charge approaches, surveys scene, looks at cameras still recording, understanding that whatever happens next is public record. Admiral Blackwell, you're wanted for questioning regarding multiple allegations. Please come with us. Blackwell straightens uniform, trying to reclaim dignity, finding it impossible when surrounded by bodies and evidence and families staring with hatred. This is persecution, conspiracy. My lawyers will destroy you all. Your lawyers can meet us at headquarters, sir. They lead him away. Hands not cuffed yet. Professional courtesy that feels obscene given crimes. But protocol matters even when justice doesn't. Families remain, processing, understanding, grief transforming into rage. 20 years of believing lies. 20 years stolen by man who wore uniform dishonestly. Prophet's brother approaches Brennan, embraces him, hard. Thank you. Thank you for truth. Fortress's widow follows, kissing Brennan's cheek. My daughter knows now. Her father died heroically, murdered by coward. Mercy's parents both hug Rivera, old hands gripping young warrior, gratitude flowing without words. The ceremony concludes not with honor, but with truth. Not with comfort, but with justice. Not with closure, because closure is myth that counselors sell to people who don't understand that some wounds never heal. But truth matters, even painful truth, especially painful truth. Medics treat wounded, Moreno's shoulder, superficial, through and through. She refuses stretcher, walks to ambulance under own power. Warriors don't get carried unless dead. Kane surrenders his weapon to NCIS, provides statement, offers evidence, admits to shooting contractors in defense of civilians. Justified, legal, recorded. Palmer secures equipment, downloads footage, creates redundant backups. Evidence preserved regardless of what happens to physical location. Rivera sends final transmission. All files uploaded, all evidence distributed. Beyond recall, beyond containment. Truth existing now in public sphere where institutional protection fails. Brennan stands alone watching families depart, knowing he gave them truth. Knowing truth doesn't resurrect dead. Knowing some victories feel hollow even when necessary. Palmer joins him. We did it, exposed him, broadcast everything, justice coming. Justice delayed 20 years isn't justice, it's consolation prize. Better than nothing. Is it? 7 men dead, families destroyed, careers ended, all because one admiral valued money over honor. And we stopped him only because we survived when we should have died. We survived because we're too stubborn to die quietly. Brennan almost smiles. That's probably true. They walk toward parking lot. 2 old warriors. Mission accomplished. Bodies intact. Souls carrying new scars to add to collection. Behind them, Memorial Hall stands empty. Chairs overturned. Blood on floor. Bullet holes in walls. The cost of truth displayed in violence and sacrifice. But the names remain. Prophet, Fortress, Mercy. Remembered now not just as casualties, but as murdered brothers who deserve better than the system that failed them. The last raven flies toward sunset, tired, bloodied, victorious in a way that feels like defeat. Because truth without resurrection is just archaeology. And justice without restoration is just revenge wearing formal clothes. But it's something. And sometimes something is all old warriors get. NCIS Headquarters, San Diego. Interrogation Room 4. Concrete walls painted institutional beige. Fluorescent lights humming like insects. Metal table bolted to floor. 2 chairs, 1 door. The architecture of confession. Blackwell sits rigid. Dress blues unchanged from memorial. Blood spatter on left shoulder. Not his blood. Contractor who died defending him. The admiral's hands rest flat on table. No cuffs. Professional courtesy extended to 2-star officers even when accused of murder. Special Agent Sarah Chen sits across. 42 years old. 20 years NCIS. 12 investigating corruption. Face neutral as Switzerland. Eyes reading everything Blackwell doesn't say. Admiral, you understand you have right to attorney. I understand my rights, Agent Chen. I also understand this is persecution. Political theater, conspiracy by disgruntled subordinates. Disgruntled subordinates who produce 20 years of financial records. Communication intercepts. Testimony from multiple witnesses. Physical evidence, all documented, all verified, all currently being reviewed by Navy JAG. Fabricated evidence, any competent lawyer will demonstrate. Chen slides folder across the table. Opens it. Displays bank records showing offshore accounts. Cayman Islands, Luxembourg, Cyprus. $3.7 million deposited over 2 decades. Systematic, traceable, damning. These accounts belong to you, verified by signature cards, authorization codes, biometric data, money routed from shell corporations linked to Phoenix Solutions, same contractors who attacked Memorial Service today. I have no knowledge of those accounts. Identity theft is sophisticated these days. Identity theft that required your thumbprint, your retinal scan, your voice authorization, all recorded at bank branches you visited personally. Blackwell's jaw tightens, micro-expression revealing stress, professional interrogator recognizing tell. I want my lawyer. Of course, but understand, evidence is public now, broadcast live, downloaded by 17,000 people in first hour. By tomorrow morning, national news. By next week, congressional hearings. Your lawyer can delay trial, can't stop exposure. The door opens. Rear Admiral Pierce enters, base commander, career officer, face carrying disappointment heavy as armor. Admiral Blackwell, pending investigation, you're relieved of duties. Surrender building access credentials. Security clearances suspended, weapon if carried. Blackwell stands, removes ID card from wallet, places it on table, movement controlled, military bearing maintained. Pride refusing to acknowledge defeat even when defeat is obvious. This is mistake. Political pressure from civilian oversight. You're allowing appearance to override facts. Facts include 6 dead contractors, 12 wounded, 3 civilians injured, all during memorial service you attended, all captured on video broadcast live. Those facts override appearance. Pierce exits. Chen remains, studying Blackwell with professional detachment. We're done for now. You'll be transferred to secure facility pending court-martial. Process takes weeks, maybe months, but outcome is predetermined. Evidence too substantial, witnesses too credible. Your career is finished. My career is decorated service spanning 30 years. 2 stars, bronze, silver, Navy Cross. Men better than you have tried to destroy me. All failed. Chen almost smiles. Those men didn't have evidence, didn't have witnesses, didn't have families demanding justice, and they didn't have broadcasts going viral on social media. You're not fighting investigators anymore, Admiral. You're fighting American people who watched you exposed on live television. She leaves him alone, fluorescent lights humming, walls closing in, the architecture of defeat. Brennan sits in NCIS waiting room, Palmer beside him, Rivera across, Kane standing by window. Moreno in emergency room getting shoulder treated. 5 warriors, 5 different damage states, all breathing. Small victory in day filled with bodies. Special Agent Chen emerges from interrogation wing. Colonel Brennan, Agent Chen, need your statement. They move to conference room. Larger space, round table, chairs that almost comfort. The room where witnesses become evidence. Walk me through today. Start with arrival. Brennan recounts events, chronological, precise. Military after-action report translated to civilian law enforcement. Chen records everything. Digital and written backup. Redundant documentation that survives challenges. When Blackwell reached inside jacket, you tackled him, believed he was drawing weapon. Correct. His hand moved toward position consistent with concealed carry. Given context of confrontation and presence of contractors, reasonable assumption, deadly threat existed. Contractors opened fire, you returned fire. Negative. I was controlling Blackwell. Kane, Rivera, and Moreno returned fire. I remained engaged with primary threat. Master Chief Kane shot 3 contractors, his own security detail. That seems irregular. Those contractors were firing on civilians, families, children. Kane neutralized immediate threat, saved lives. By killing 3 men he was commanding minutes earlier. By choosing innocence over paychecks. Some choices reveal character. Chen nods. Makes notes. Understanding that Kane's actions complicate prosecution. Self-defense versus insubordination. Heroism versus fragging. Legal gray area that trials explore slowly. The broadcast. Who authorized? No one. Memorial service is public ceremony. Attendees can record. We recorded. 37 cameras, 14 microphones, 6 uplinks. That's surveillance operation, not casual recording. We documented evidence presentation, ensured preservation, expected institutional resistance, took precautions. Those precautions may constitute illegal wiretapping, depending on how lawyers argue. Brennan's expression hardens. 7 Marines murdered, 20 years of cover-up, institutional protection enabling serial killer wearing admiral's uniform. If documenting truth is illegal, then legality requires examination. Chen's poker face cracks slightly, almost smiling. Off record, I agree. On record. Investigation continues. You'll be called to testify. Grand jury, court-martial, possibly congressional hearing. Your calendar is full for foreseeable future. Good, I have testimony worth hearing. Rivera enters next, provides statement, then Palmer, then Kane. 4 perspectives on same event, details aligning, story consistent, the kind of testimony that survives cross-examination. Kane's interview lasts 3 hours. Shooting friendly contractors requires extensive justification, rules of engagement, split-second decisions, reasonable belief of imminent threat, legal framework that determines whether hero or criminal. He emerges exhausted, face carrying weight. They're considering charges against me for shooting contractors. Brennan stands. What charges? Manslaughter, maybe murder, depending how prosecutor interprets rules of engagement. I was commanding those men, shot 3, killed 2. That's fratricide regardless of justification. You saved civilian lives. I killed contractors who were following orders, from admiral who signed their paychecks. Defense attorney will argue they believed orders were legitimate, that I'm murderer who killed fellow service members. The weight settles. Kane's sacrifice suddenly visible. He chose truth, might pay with freedom. Will testify, explain context, demonstrate threat was real. Appreciate it, but understand, I knew cost when I pulled trigger. Some things worth more than career. Justice for my father qualifies. They shake hands, warriors grip, understanding flowing without words. Evening becomes night, participants scattered. Brennan returns to temporary quarters among. BOQ room different from previous, same furniture, different ghosts. His phone rings, unknown number. He answers without speaking. Colonel Brennan, this is Senator Victoria Gaines, Armed Services Committee. We should talk. The voice, cultured, educated, carrying authority earned through elections and maintained through connections. Senator, I watched the broadcast. Impressive theater, emotional families, dramatic revelations, evidence presented like prosecution closing argument. Very effective television. Truth doesn't require theater, just documentation. Truth is complicated concept, subject to interpretation, perspective, context. What you call murder, others might call operational necessity. What you call justice, others might call vendetta. Those others being people who enabled Blackwell's crimes. Silence online, calculation happening, senator measuring response. Admiral Blackwell served under my oversight for 15 years. Joint operations, classified missions, situations requiring difficult decisions. Sometimes those decisions involve acceptable losses. Acceptable to who? Politicians in Washington or Marines dying in Fallujah? Acceptable to people who understand strategic necessity, who make hard choices so others can sleep safely. Blackwell wasn't perfect, but he was effective, and effectiveness matters when national security is at stake. Brennan's grip tightens on phone. You knew about the arms deals, about the murders. You covered for him. I knew Blackwell ran operations that couldn't survive sunshine. Most covert operations can't. That's why they're covert. Your public exposure doesn't serve justice, serves ego, revenge disguised as righteousness. 7 men dead, you call that acceptable loss? I call it unfortunate cost of complex operations in hostile environment. Blackwell made judgment calls. Some worked, some didn't. That's war. That's murder. And you're accessory. Another pause, longer. Gaines recalculating approach. Colonel, you've made your point. Exposed corruption, demonstrated valor. Families have closure. Now let process work. Let Navy JAG investigate. Let courts decide. Don't push further. Or what? Or you'll discover that institutional protection extends beyond Blackwell. That men with power protect their own. That decorated Marine colonels can have accidents too. The threat lands clean, senator threatening veteran. On recorded line, arrogance or confidence that recording won't matter. You're admitting conspiracy, threatening witness, both federal crimes. I'm advising veteran to accept victory gracefully, to understand when mission is complete, to recognize that some wars can't be won, and that smart warriors know when to retreat. I'm not smart, I'm stubborn, and I don't retreat. Then you'll join your fallen brothers. Different grave, same outcome, your choice. The line dies. Brennan sits in darkness, processing. Senator Gaines, Armed Services Committee Chair. Blackwell's superior in congressional oversight. Admitting knowledge. Threatening witnesses. The conspiracy deeper than anticipated. He calls Rivera. We have bigger problem. Rivera listens to recording. Brennan always records unknown numbers. Operational paranoia saving lives again. Senator Gaines. She's protected Blackwell for 15 years. Knew about murders. Covered them up. She's the one authorizing payments. Blackwell was just operator. She's mastermind. Which means court-martial won't end this. Conviction gets one admiral. Leaves senator free to continue operations. To eliminate remaining witnesses. To protect network. Exactly. Palmer joins conversation via conference call. If Gaines is involved, others are too. Pentagon, CIA, private contractors. This isn't one corrupt admiral. This is systematic network using military operations to generate private profit. Kane adds his voice. I've been tracking Blackwell's network for 14 years. Found connections to 17 separate shell corporations, all tied to defense contracts, all generating profit from overseas operations. Billions of dollars flowing through channels that bypass oversight. The scope expands. One admiral's corruption revealing institutional disease. Cancer that spreads through military-industrial complex like plague. Moreno calls from hospital. News is covering memorial shooting. National outlets, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, all showing footage. Families crying. Blackwell being arrested. Public opinion swinging hard. People demanding investigation. Good. Public pressure is tool we need. But also danger. Makes us visible. Makes us targets. Network Gains controls has resources we can't match. Money, political influence, legal protection. They'll move to eliminate threats. Let them move, we're ready. But ready is relative term. 4 warriors and 1 wounded analyst versus network-spanning military, government, and private sector. David versus Goliath. Except Goliath has lawyers and lobbyists and legislative protection. Night deepens. Planning continues. They need evidence against Gaines. Proof of her involvement that survives her political protection. Documentation that congressional immunity can't shield. Kane provides breakthrough. Gaines visited Blackwell 3 weeks ago. Private meeting. Off books. I photographed them at restaurant in La Jolla, discussing operations, reviewing documents. If we can get those documents, we can prove conspiracy. Where are documents now? Blackwell's office, Naval Amphibious Base, secured facility, but security is focused outward, protecting from external threats, not internal access. You can get inside. I have building access, security clearance, credentials that survive preliminary suspension. Window is narrow, maybe 24 hours before systems update, but it's window. Palmer calculates logistics. You go in tonight, retrieve documents, bring them to safe location. We analyze. If they prove Gaines' connection, we have evidence that protects against political cover-up. It's breaking and entering, theft of classified materials, court-martial offense. Brennan's voice cuts through hesitation. We're already exposed, already targets. Adding one more charge doesn't change the outcome. Either we win completely or we die trying. No middle ground. Kane nods slowly. Okay, I'll do it, but I'm going alone. If caught, I'm rogue operator. Doesn't implicate you. Negative, 2-man team. You navigate facility, I provide security, old recon doctrine, never operate alone when pairs possible. They gear up. Dark clothes, no insignia, weapons concealed. The uniform of operators who learn that success requires invisibility. Naval Amphibious Base sits quiet. 2,300 hours. Most personnel asleep. Duty staff manning essential posts. Security focused on perimeter. Internal movement trusted to access credentials, an assumption that everyone inside belongs. Kane's ID card opens Building 3. Administration offices. Blackwell's domain until 12 hours ago. They enter through side door. No cameras on this entrance. Budget cuts, an institutional assumption that internal threats don't exist. The hallway extends into darkness. Emergency lighting providing minimum visibility. Enough to navigate, not enough to identify faces from distance. Blackwell's office is 3rd floor. Corner position, window overlooking base. The power office that demonstrates status. They climb stairs. Footsteps silent on linoleum that remembers different era. Boots designed for silence. Practice making perfect. Kane's ID opens office door. Electronic lock disengaging with quiet click. They enter. The office smells like leather and old paper. Desk carved from mahogany. Chairs upholstered in navy blue. Photographs covering walls. Blackwell shaking hands with presidents, admirals, senators. The documentation of career built on competence and corruption. Kane moves to filing cabinet. Locked. But lock is mechanical. Simple. The kind that yields to picks carried by men who learned entry in schools that don't advertise. 30 seconds. Lock surrenders. Drawer opens. Files inside organized by operation, alphabetical. Bureaucratic precision, even in corruption. Kane photographs everything. Digital documentation faster than physical retrieval. Then he finds it. Folder labeled Raven Protocol Resolution. Inside, meeting notes. Handwritten. Gaines's handwriting confirmed by Kane's previous intelligence. Discussion with VB regarding witness elimination. Approved Phoenix Solutions contract. Authorization for permanent resolution. Cost $3.7 million over 20 years. Acceptable given operational security requirements. Smoking gun. Senator authorizing murder. Documented in her handwriting. Dated. Signed. Brennan photographs the page. Multiple angles. High resolution. Evidence that survives challenge. Got it. Let's move. They exit office. Relock door. Reverse path to entrance. Movement smooth. Professional. The choreography of operators who train for this. But hallway ahead shows light. Flashlight beam sweeping. Security making rounds. Not scheduled. Random patrol or response to silent alarm. Kane and Brennan flatten against wall. Shadows providing concealment. Security guard approaches. Young, maybe 25. Performing duty without expecting threat. He passes within 3 feet. Flashlight beam sweeping opposite direction. Unaware of warriors breathing nearby. Then his radio crackles. Security to all posts. Bolo for intruders. Building 3. Possible unauthorized access. Respond. The guard spins. Flashlight beam catching Kane's face. Recognition immediate. Master Chief Kane? Sir, what are you doing here? Kane's hand moves, not to weapon, to credential folder. Security inspection. Admiral Pierce ordered audit after today's incident. Random checks, making sure protocols are followed. The guard processes. Young enough to believe authority, old enough to question inconsistencies. Sir, I wasn't notified of inspection. That's why it's random. Testing response to unexpected situations. You're doing well. Continue patrol. The guard hesitates. Radio crackling again with instructions to search building. Sir, I need to verify with Watch Commander. Do what you need to. We'll wait. But waiting means capture. Means questions that have no good answers. Means operation failure. Brennan makes decision. Steps from shadow. Hand extended in greeting. Colonel Brennan, retired. Assisting with security review. You're Corporal Martinez, correct? I remember you from range qualifications. The guard's confusion deepens. Recognition fighting with protocol. Sir, Colonel, I don't understand what's happening. What's happening is institutional reform. Today's shooting demonstrated security failures. We're identifying vulnerabilities before they're exploited. Your diligence is commendable, but we need to complete inspection before shift changes. Martinez's radio crackles with increasing urgency. Multiple units responding to Building 3. Perimeter being established. Sirs, I need to call this in. Kane's hand moves to weapon. Not drawing, preparing, reading situation deteriorating. Brennan sees the tell, intervenes. Corporal, you have duty to follow orders. You also have judgment to recognize when orders serve security versus bureaucracy. What we're doing protects Marines, protects families, protects integrity of institution that deserves protection. You can arrest us, or you can trust that decorated veterans are serving same cause you are. Martinez wavers. Young face showing conflict. Training versus judgment. Protocol versus trust. Then he makes choice. I didn't see you. Rounds complete. Building secure. Continuing patrol. He walks away. Radio transmission reporting negative contact. Buying them minutes. They exit building. Into night that provides concealment. Across base toward Palmer's truck waiting 3 blocks distant. Behind them, security lights activate. Building 3 illuminated like Christmas. Teams converging, searching for intruders who are already gone. Palmer drives, no lights, using moonlight and memory, path that avoids checkpoints. Exits base through maintenance gate rarely monitored. Got it? Kane displays photos on phone, gains his handwriting. Authorization for murder. Smoking gun that destroys senatorial immunity. This ends her career, probably sends her to prison, definitely exposes network, which makes us targets for everyone she commands. We were already targets. Now we have ammunition. They reach safe house. Palmer's fishing cabin, 40 miles from base. Off-grid, no records. The kind of place that exists in memories rather than databases. Rivera waits inside. Laptop open, files displayed. He takes Kane's phone, downloads photos, begins analysis. Handwriting matches samples from Gaines's congressional testimony. Signature authentic. Date corresponds to timeline of Raven protocol elimination. This is prosecutable evidence. If we survive long enough to prosecute. Moreno arrives, shoulder bandaged but functional. She carries encrypted tablets showing news feeds. Media is exploding. Memorial shooting trending nationally. Families giving interviews. Demanding investigation. Public opinion crushing Blackwell. But nothing about Gaines yet. Because exposing Senator requires more than photographs. Requires context, testimony, investigation that congressional privilege can't block. Brennan studies the evidence. Pieces assembling. Strategy forming. We go public tomorrow. Press conference. Present evidence. Force Gaines to respond. Let media pressure override political protection. She'll deny everything. Claim forgery. Use resources to discredit us. Let her deny. Denials create record. Records get investigated. Investigation reveals truth. Process matters when institutions are corrupted. They plan through night, press conference logistics, security, backup evidence, contingencies for attempts to silence them before exposure. Dawn arrives. Final day. The day that determines whether truth defeats power or power crushes truth. Press conference scheduled for 1000 hours. Downtown San Diego. Public location. Multiple media outlets. Live stream backup. The amphitheater of exposure. But at 0600, Palmer's phone rings. Unknown number. He answers on speaker. Palmer, this is Agent Chen, NCIS. We have problem. Blackwell posted bail. Released 1 hour ago. Location unknown. Silence in cabin. Processing implications. How? He's charged with multiple murders. Bail should be denied. Federal judge granted release. Political pressure from unnamed sources. Blackwell surrendered passport. Ankle monitor. House arrest at private residence. But monitor was disabled 20 minutes ago. He's running. Or hunting. Chen's voice carries urgency. You need protection. Safe location. Blackwell has resources, contacts. He'll move against you before evidence reaches court. We're already protected, but appreciate warning. The call ends. Rivera pulls up tracking software. Displays map of San Diego area. If Blackwell's running, he needs extraction. Private airfield. Probably brown field near Mexican border. 12 miles from here. If we intercept, we can prevent escape. Or get killed trying. Those odds acceptable? Brennan considers. Weighing risk versus reward. Justice versus survival. Let's go hunting. They arm up. Real weapons now. Not concealed pistols. Rifles. Body armor. Ammunition that defeats protective equipment. The loadout of warriors who stop pretending this is anything but war. Brownfield appears in morning haze. Small municipal airport. General aviation. No commercial traffic. Perfect for private escapes. They position on ridgeline overlooking runway. Brennan takes primary sniper position. Palmer spots. Rivera manages communications. Kane provides security. Moreno coordinates with NCCIS. 0900 hours. Black SUV approaches field. 3 vehicles. Professional convoy. Blackwell's escape attempt. The vehicles park near hangar. Men exit. 12 contractors. Phoenix Solutions. Same team from Memorial. Survivors who want revenge for fallen brothers. Blackwell emerges last. Civilian clothes, no uniform. The admiral becoming fugitive. Private jet waits, engines warming, pilot visible in cockpit, flight plan filed for Mexico. Beyond extradition, beyond American justice. Brennan settles behind rifle. Distance 400 meters. Wind calm, temperature stable. The kind of shot that doesn't require compensation. Target acquired. Blackwell boarding aircraft. Palmer confirms through spotting scope. Confirmed. Contractors providing security. No clear shot without civilian casualties. Wait for separation. Blackwell climbs stairs, enters aircraft. Contractors remain on tarmac, providing perimeter security until departure. The jet begins taxiing, moving toward runway, preparing for takeoff that ends possibility of justice. Brennan tracks movement. Leading target. calculating intercept point, finding solution that stops escape without crashing aircraft into hangars. On 3, disable aircraft, force emergency stop. Copy. 1, 2, 3. The shot breaks clean. Round impacts aircraft's front landing gear. Tire explodes. Strut collapses. The jet lurches. Nose dropping. Forward momentum stopped. Emergency crews respond. Fire trucks, ambulances, the chaos of aviation incident. Blackwell exits aircraft, furious, searching for threat. Contractors converge, weapons raised, professional security responding to attack. But position is already compromised. Brennan's muzzle flash visible from field. Contractors identifying firing position. Returning fire. Rounds impact ridgeline. Dirt geysering. Rock fragmenting. The incoming fire that makes snipers relocate. They displace. Moving to secondary position. Maintaining observation while avoiding counterfire. NCIS vehicles arrive. Federal agents emerging. Weapons drawn. Ordering everyone down. Blackwell tries to run. Contractors providing cover. Exchanging fire with federal agents. The battle that ends careers and lives. Kane stands. Exposes position. Targets contractors who taught him. Trained him. The men he's betraying second time. His rifle speaks. 3-round burst. Professional placement. Contractor falls. Return fire. Incoming rounds. Kane takes cover. But message sent. His loyalty demonstrated in violence. The battle lasts 90 seconds. Contractors overwhelmed by federal agents. Superior numbers. Superior position. Training equaled but tactics failed. Blackwell surrenders. Hands raised. Face defeated. The admiral becoming prisoner. NCIS secures scene. Arrests contractors. Retrieves Blackwell. The aftermath of operation that succeeded but cost unknown price. Chen approaches ridgeline. Finds Brennan's team. Civilian shooters disabling aircraft. Federal crime. But given circumstances, I'm recommending no charges. Self-defense. Preventing fugitive escape. Justifiable actions. Appreciate professional courtesy. Don't thank me yet. You've made powerful enemies. Senator Gaines is demanding investigation. Threatening congressional hearings. Claims your rogue operators conducting vendetta. Then let's give her what she wants. Congressional hearing. Public testimony. Evidence presented under oath. See how her threats survive scrutiny. Chen almost smiles. You're either very brave or very stupid. Marines don't recognize difference. They return to safe house. Mission accomplished. Blackwell captured. Escape prevented. But final battle remains. Senator Gaines, Armed Services Committee Chair. Political power that survives exposure of subordinates. The true target emerging from shadows. Brennan's phone rings. Unknown number. He answers. Congratulations, Colonel. You've captured one admiral, prevented escape, demonstrated tactical competence. But you haven't won. You've merely annoyed people with resources to make problems disappear, including you. Gaines's voice. Cold. Certain. Carrying confidence that immunity provides. We have your handwriting. Authorizing murders. Documented. Photographed. Distributed beyond your ability to suppress. Handwriting can be questioned. Experts can testify forgery. Lawyers can create reasonable doubt. Courts move slowly. Accidents happen quickly. Is that threat? It's reality. You're old warrior. Decorated service. Tragic if you died from heart attack. Or car accident. Or random violence. These things happen to men your age. Or these things happen to senators who threaten witnesses. Federal crime. Recorded. Prosecutable. Prosecute me. Try. Watch how quickly evidence disappears. Witnesses recant. Cases collapse. I've survived bigger threats than one colonel with retirement fantasy. The call ends, but recording remains. Senator threatening veteran. Federal crime. Evidence accumulating. The walls closing in, even when occupant doesn't recognize it yet. The last Raven flies toward final confrontation. Wounded. Tired, but still airborne. Because some flights don't end until target is destroyed, and some targets deserve destruction. 3 weeks pass like sentences. Blackwell remains custody pending court-martial. Senator Gaines maintains public silence while private channels work overtime. Legal teams, political favors, the machinery of institutional protection grinding toward predetermined outcome. Except one variable changed, public awareness. Memorial shooting went viral. 17 million views first week, 53 million by week 3. Families giving interviews. Veterans demanding accountability. Social media pressure overwhelming congressional switchboards. Senator Gaines can ignore evidence, cannot ignore constituents. Armed Services Committee schedules hearing. Public testimony, open session, cameras recording. The amphitheater where truth confronts power under lights that expose everything. Brennan receives subpoena, federal document requiring appearance. As if he wouldn't attend voluntarily. As if 20 years of waiting needs legal compulsion. The hearing room seats 400. Gallery packed. Standing room only. Veterans wearing service caps. Gold Star families clutching photographs. Media occupying back rows. The audience that transforms testimony into history. Committee members sit elevated. 14 senators, 7 per side. Gaines occupies center chair. Committee chair. Gavel wielder. The woman who authorized murders now positioned to judge those who exposed her. Brennan enters wearing service dress blues. Ribbons arranged chronologically. Purple Hearts, Bronze Star, Silver Star, Navy Cross. The decoration history that speaks before words begin. Rivera follows. Uniform pressed sharp as conscience, left sleeve empty below elbow. Prosthetic hand concealed beneath fabric. The visible cost of surviving what killed others. Palmer wears civilian suit. Too old for active duty. Too essential to exclude. Face carrying decades of secrets, about to become public record. Kane arrives in navy dress whites. Seal trident gleaming. Temporary suspension lifted pending investigation. Career hanging by thread but conscience clear. Moreno completes the group. Marine Corps blues. Shoulder still bandaged beneath jacket. Combat action, ribbon representing battles fought and survived. They sit at witness table facing committee. Microphones positioned precisely. Cameras recording from 8 angles. The infrastructure of accountability. Gaines calls hearing to order. Gavel striking wood, sound echoing like judgment. Armed Services Committee convenes to investigate allegations against Rear Admiral Victor Blackwell and associated personnel. Witnesses will testify under oath. Penalty for perjury includes federal prosecution. Do witnesses understand? We understand. Gaines's expression reveals nothing. Professional poker face maintained through decades of political survival. Colonel Brennan, you've made serious accusations. Murder, conspiracy, treason, capital offenses carrying death penalty if proven. These are not charges to levy lightly. They're not levied lightly, Senator. They're documented extensively. 20 years of evidence, multiple witnesses, financial records, communication intercepts, physical proof that survives challenge. Proof for accusations designed to damage decorated officers' reputation. Admiral Blackwell served 30 years. 2 stars earned through competence. Navy Cross for valor. Impeccable record until your allegations. Impeccable record built on murdered witnesses. 7 Marines eliminated systematically to hide arms trafficking. My allegations are supported by evidence this committee refused to examine when presented 15 years ago. Gaines's jaw tightens fractionally. First crack in composure. You're referring to Captain Moreno's testimony, allegations investigated thoroughly and dismissed for insufficient evidence. Moreno leans toward microphone. Dismissed after threats, after assassination attempts, after Navy put me in witness protection and made me promise silence. That's not investigation, that's cover-up. Gallery murmurs. Press typing furiously. Cameras recording everything. Gaines strikes gavel. Order. Witnesses will refrain from inflammatory characterizations. Facts only. Facts are inflammatory, Senator. When truth reveals corruption at highest levels. Different senator interjects. Senator Martinez. Junior member. Veterans Affairs background. Face showing concern rather than calculation. Colonel Brennan, walk us through evidence, chronologically, starting with Fallujah. Brennan pulls out tablet, displays timeline on screens throughout chamber. November 2004. Raven Protocol conducting surveillance on arms transfers. Iraqi insurgents receiving American Stinger missiles. Transactions facilitated by Admiral Blackwell, then commander in coordination with private contractors. We documented transfers, photographed participants, recorded conversations. Photos appear on screen. Blackwell younger but recognizable. Shaking hands with men identified as insurgent leaders. Cash and weapons visible. When Blackwell realized we had evidence, he ordered airstrike on our position. Friendly fire, deliberate. 3 Marines killed immediately. 4 others presumed dead. Actually, 3 survived. Went underground, spent 20 years gathering additional evidence. Airstrike was reported as enemy engagement. Airstrike was murder disguised as combat loss. Audio recording proves it. Rivera activates file. Blackwell's voice fills chamber. Apache 7-7. Target building grid 49 or 3821. Eliminate all personnel. Authorization Blackwell. Pilot's response crackles through speakers. Sir, that's friendly position. Raven protocol operating from that grid. Blackwell's voice, cold, certain. I'm aware. Execute order. Silence in hearing room. Absolute. The kind that follows revelation too large to process immediately. Senator Martinez's face pales. Admiral Blackwell ordered strike on American position, knowing Marines occupied building. Correct. 3 men died in initial strike. Staff Sergeant King, Corporal Reyes, Hospital Man Hayes. Their names are on memorial wall. Their families are in this room. Believing sons died heroically. Actually died murdered by commanding officer. Camera pans to families. Prophet's brother. Fortress's widow. Mercy's parents. Faces showing grief transforming into rage. Another senator. Senator Brooks. Defense hawk. Retired Air Force colonel. Voice carrying military authority. This recording. Chain of custody. Authentication. How do we know it's legitimate? Audio forensics conducted by 3 independent laboratories. Voice print matches Blackwell's verified samples. Background noise consistent with forward operating base communications. Timestamp corresponds to strike timeline. Metadata intact. Every technical analysis confirms authenticity. And the 7 subsequent deaths? You claim Admiral Blackwell systematically eliminated survivors? Kane leans forward. I have financial records showing payments from Blackwell-controlled accounts to Phoenix Solutions. Private military contractor. Same amounts matching contract killings. 7 payments, 7 Ravens dead. Correlation supported by operational timelines. Documents appear on screen. Bank transfers. Contractor invoices. Death certificates. The mosaic of murder assembled from pieces scattered across 2 decades. Gunnery Sergeant Nolan. Car bomb Kabul. Payment $27,000. Staff Sergeant Chen. Climbing accident Colorado. Payment $32,000. Lieutenant Hayes. Drowning Philippines. Payment $28,000. The list continues. 7 names, 7 payments, 7 families learning truth. Gaines interrupts. Correlation isn't causation. Deaths during military service are tragic but common. Linking them to conspiracy requires more than financial coincidence. Rivera responds. Coincidence supported by contractor testimony. Phoenix Solutions operative identified in Chen's climbing accident. Same operative linked to Hayes' drowning. Pattern transcends coincidence. Demonstrates systematic elimination. Alleged contractor testimony. From men facing criminal charges who might fabricate to reduce sentences. Corroborated by independent evidence, surveillance footage, forensic analysis, witness statements. No single element proves conspiracy alone. Together they create overwhelming case. The testimony continues. 3 hours of evidence, each piece adding weight, each witness reinforcing others. The accumulated proof that crushes reasonable doubt. Gallery remains silent, absorbed, understanding their witnessing history. The moment when institutional protection fails against determined truth. Senator Martinez calls recess. 15 minutes. Committee confers privately. Cameras remain live. Gallery whispers. Press speculates. Brennan stands, stretches legs that complain about sitting. 68 years old now. Birthday passed during investigation. Age accumulating while mission progresses. Prophet's brother approaches, grips Brennan's hand. Thank you. For truth. For honoring David. For making them listen. They're listening because you demanded it. Families create pressure that politicians can't ignore. Fortress's widow embraces Palmer. Miguel would be proud, knowing you finished what he started. Mercy's father, 87 years old, moving slowly but steadily. My son died serving monsters, but you made him hero again, by exposing monsters. That matters. The families cluster, sharing grief that transformed into purpose. 20 years of wondering why becomes understanding how. Closure not in forgetting but in knowing. Committee returns, 15 minutes becoming 40. Internal debate visible in changed expressions. Gaines's face hardened, Martinez showing determination. Brooks conflicted between military loyalty and obvious evidence. Gaines calls session to order. Committee has reviewed evidence presented. Find sufficient cause to recommend full investigation. Naval Criminal Investigative Service will examine allegations. Report findings to Department of Defense Inspector General. Admiral Blackwell will remain custody pending review. Senator Martinez interjects. Move to expand investigation. Include oversight of Armed Services Committee's previous handling of similar allegations. Determine if institutional failures enabled alleged crimes. Gaines's expression freezes. That motion is out of order. This hearing concerns Admiral Blackwell, not committee procedures. Point of order, Madam Chair. Committee's role in dismissing Captain Moreno's 2011 testimony is directly relevant. If evidence was suppressed, investigation must determine why and by whom. Other senators murmur agreement. Political calculations shifting. Public pressure outweighing loyalty. Self-preservation trumping conspiracy. Vote called. Martinez's motion passes 8-6. Investigation expands beyond Blackwell to include everyone who protected him, including Senator Gaines. Her face remains neutral, but hands grip gavel tighter, knuckles white, the tell that professionals recognize. Motion carries. Expanded investigation will proceed. This committee stands adjourned. Gavel strikes, sound echoing like door closing. But doors close both directions, ending access, preventing escape. Media surrounds witnesses, questions overwhelming, cameras everywhere. The feeding frenzy that follows exposure. Brennan pushes through. No comment. Not yet. Justice incomplete until conviction secured. Outside Capitol building, autumn sun breaks through clouds. Washington, D.C. dressed in fall colors. Red, gold, orange, the nation's capital beautiful despite housing ugly business. Rivera stands beside Brennan, watching traffic, processing implications. We did it. Exposed Blackwell, forced investigation, made them listen. We started it. Finishing requires prosecution, conviction, sentencing, justice delayed by legal processes. But coming? That's more than we had 3 weeks ago. True, Palmer joins them. Face showing satisfaction rare for man who learned to expect disappointment. Families got truth. That's what they needed, not conviction, not punishment, just understanding why sons died. Understanding helps, but conviction matters. Blackwell in prison, Gaines exposed, network dismantled. That's justice. Justice is long process, but process started. That's victory. They walked toward rental car. 3 old warriors who survived impossible odds, who exposed conspiracy protected by power, who proved that truth matters more than rank when supported by evidence and determination. Kane catches up, breathing hard, running despite dress whites. Colonel, wait. They stop. I'm being offered deal. Testify against Blackwell. Full immunity for shooting contractors. Clean record. Career continues. You taking it? Depends. Deal requires testimony that implicates only Blackwell. Excludes higher conspirators. Prosecutors want conviction they can get, not investigation that complicates. Brennan studies younger man's face, reading conflict between pragmatism and principle. What does your father's memory require? Kane's expression hardens. Full truth. Everyone responsible. No deals that protect conspirators. Then you have answer. Means court-martial for shooting friendly contractors. Prison time. Dishonorable discharge. Career destroyed. Means sleeping soundly. Knowing you chose honor over convenience. Some things cost less than their price suggests. Kane nods slowly. Decision made. I'll decline deal. Testify against everyone. Accept consequences. Good man, your father would approve. They shake hands. Warriors grip. Understanding flowing without additional words. 6 months pass like seasons. Fall becoming winter, becoming spring. Legal processes grinding slowly but inevitably. Blackwell's court-martial convenes. Military tribunal. 3 senior officers judging. Evidence presented methodically. Defense attorneys fighting procedurally. Outcome predetermined by overwhelming proof. Verdict arrives April morning. Guilty. All counts. Multiple murders. Conspiracy. Treason. Conduct unbecoming. The catalog of crimes that destroys career and freedom. Sentencing follows immediately. Life imprisonment. Fort Leavenworth. No parole. Dishonorable discharge. Forfeiture of rank and pension. The complete destruction of 30-year career built on corruption. Families attend. Watch Admiral led away in shackles. Uniform stripped. Status eliminated. The man who killed their sons finally facing consequences. But Blackwell is operational level. Network extends higher. Senator Gaines faces congressional investigation, ethics committee, closed sessions initially, then leaks begin. Always leaks. Washington's immune system rejecting foreign objects. Evidence emerges. Her handwriting authorizing murders. Recorded phone calls threatening witnesses. Financial connections to contractors. The documentation that survives political immunity. She resigns. Press conference announcing retirement for health reasons. Face composed, voice controlled, lie delivered professionally. But resignation isn't prosecution. Investigation continues. FBI involved now. Federal crimes beyond congressional jurisdiction. Grand jury convenes, reviews evidence, returns indictment, conspiracy to commit murder, obstruction of justice, witness intimidation, federal charges carrying decades of prison, trial scheduled, federal court, public proceeding, cameras banned but transcripts available, the slow machinery of civilian justice engaging. Brennan attends every session, gallery seat, watching woman who authorized brother's murders face evidence, her attorneys skilled, arguments creative, but facts remain stubborn. Jury deliberates 4 days, returns guilty verdict, all counts. Sentencing hearing emotional. Families testify about impact, decades of grief, children growing without fathers, widows aging alone, the ripple effects of murder spreading across generations. Judge sentencing Gaines to 28 years, federal prison, no parole eligibility for 14 years. When she's 89 years old, effectively life sentence. She's led away. No longer senator, now prisoner. The fall complete. Outside courthouse, Brennan stands with Rivera and Palmer. Spring rain falling. Washington cherry blossoms blooming. Beauty indifferent to human justice. It's done. Blackwell imprisoned. Gaines convicted. Network exposed. 7 murders answered. Justice delivered. 20 years late, but delivered. Now what? Good question. Mission complete. Purpose fulfilled. Warriors without war face different challenge than warriors with targets. Brennan receives letter. Marine Corps, official stationery, commandant's signature. Offer of position. Director of Advanced Marksmanship Training. Marine Corps Base Quantico. Teaching next generation. Passing knowledge earned through decades to warriors who will need it. Alternative offer arrives same day. Pentagon, Brigadier General promotion. Strategic planning, office work. Authority without operational contact. He considers both, weighing options against priorities. General means status, power, influence over policy, the culmination of career spent climbing ranks. Instructor means contact, teaching, direct impact on individual Marines. The influence that matters when measured in lives saved rather than meetings attended. He chooses instructor, calls commandant directly. Sir, Colonel Brennan, accept training position, decline promotion, respectfully. Commandant's voice carries understanding. Figured you'd choose teaching. Good. We need warriors who remember why we fight, not just how. Start date July 1st. Welcome home, Colonel. Thank you, sir. Semper Fi. Semper Fidelis indeed. The call ends. Choice made. Chapter closing. New chapter beginning. Memorial dedication scheduled June 15th. Arlington National Cemetery. Permanent monument to Raven Protocol. Finally recognized officially. Finally honored publicly. The monument stands at 8 feet tall. Black granite. 7 names carved precisely. Dates of death. Ranks. The sparse details that represent complete lives. Staff Sergeant David Prophet King, USMC November 12, 2004. Corporal Miguel Fortress Reyes, USMC, November 12, 2004. Hospital Corpsman Lucas Mercy Hayes, USN, November 12, 2004. Gunnery Sergeant Michael Nolan, USMC, March 7, 2006. Staff Sergeant David Chen, USMC, August 23, 2009. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes, USMC, June 14, 2011. Corporal James Diaz, USMC, October 3, 2014. Sergeant Peter Kim, USMC, April 18, 2017. Captain Robert Morrison, USMC, December 2, 2019. Warrant Officer Thomas Jackson, USMC, July 9, 2022. 10 names, 10 lives, 10 families who deserve remembrance. Dedication ceremony draws hundreds. Active duty Marines, veterans, families, media. The audience that transforms private grief into public honor. Commandant delivers remarks, words about sacrifice, service, the unbreakable bond between Marines who share foxholes and destiny. Then Brennan speaks, not as accuser, as brother remembering brothers. These names represent men who believed service mattered more than self, who trusted leaders to honor that commitment, who died because trust was betrayed. But their sacrifice wasn't meaningless. Their deaths exposed corruption, forced accountability, changed institution that failed them. They didn't die in vain. They died lighting path for justice that arrived late but certain. He places compass at monument base, the one prophet's brother gave him. Brass worn smooth, glass cracked, still functional, still pointing north toward truth. Families approach one by one, touching names, tracing letters, crying quietly. 20 years of grief acknowledged officially. Loved ones recognized properly. Prophet's brother salutes monument, holds position, tears streaming. David, you're home now, remembered, honored. Rest easy, brother. Fortress's widow places photograph. Miguel in dress blues, smiling. Before Fallujah, before betrayal, before death. You were right. Justice came, slower than wanted, but it came. Mercy's parents both touched their son's name. Old hands trembling. Faith that death isn't ending, sustaining them. Lucas, our beautiful boy, you're celebrated now. Your sacrifice matters, we made sure. The families linger, reluctant to leave, understanding that monument is permanent, that visit can repeat, that memory is secured. Eventually they depart, heading toward lives that continue despite loss, carrying grief lighter for being shared, for being acknowledged, for being answered. Brennan remains, last person present, evening falling, cemetery lights activating, the peaceful space where heroes rest. Rivera joins him, appearing from shadows like old habit. You leaving for Quantico? Next week, training cycle starts July. Figured I'd spend time here first, with them. They'd approve, you teaching their lessons, keeping legacy alive. That's hope. Train warriors who fight smarter, survive longer, come home to families. Break cycle of sacrifice without purpose. Noble goal, but war remains, always war. Different enemy, same blood. True, but maybe we reduce blood spilled. Train operators who win without casualties. That's worth teaching. They stand together. Two survivors, silver hair and scars, looking at names of men who died younger. Marcus, Alex, thank you for finishing this, for honoring them, for making their deaths matter. Palmer emerges, completing trio. Old warriors gathering at graves of fallen brothers. James going to Quantico, teaching. What about you two? Rivera considers. Consulting, private sector. Companies want security analysis from operator who survived impossible. Pays well, keeps mind sharp. Palmer shrugs. Retiring, actually retiring. Cabin in Montana, fishing, reading, peace. You've earned peace. We all have. Whether we take it varies, but earning it is done. They salute monument together. Professional courtesy to brothers who can't return gesture. Then walk toward parking lot, into evening that promises tomorrow. Behind them, monument stands eternal. Names illuminated. Remembrance secured. The last raven flies towards sunset. Not ending, transitioning. Because warriors don't retire from being warriors. They retire from fighting wars. The lessons remain. The honor continues, the legacy extends. Quantico, July 15th. Marine Corps Scout Sniper School. Class of 60 students. Ages 19 to 32. Eyes hungry for knowledge that keeps them breathing. Brennan enters classroom wearing utilities. No rank insignia, no ribbons. Just name tape and experience. Good morning, I'm Colonel Brennan, retired. I'll be your primary instructor for advanced marksmanship. Next 12 weeks, you'll learn skills that save lives, yours, your team's, innocent civilians, skills that require patience, discipline, humility to accept that nature doesn't care about confidence, only competence. He writes on board. Fundamentals of long-range shooting. First lesson, win reading, not with instruments, with exposed skin and understanding. Who can tell me why skin matters more than technology? Young corporal raises hand. Because technology fails. Skin doesn't? Close. Technology measures what existed. Skin feels what exists. Wind changes faster than instruments update. Your neck knows before scope shows. Trust body before trusting tools. He demonstrates. Standing outside, facing downrange, feeling breeze on exposed face. 8 miles per hour, left to right, gusting to 11, variable pattern suggesting thermal disruption at 600 meters. Anyone want to bet against that? 2. Meteorological station shows exactly that. Students impressed. That's not magic, that's experience. 40 years of feeling wind, reading mirage, understanding that atmosphere speaks to those who listen. You'll learn same, not in 12 weeks, but you'll start. Foundation matters more than building. Classes continue. Weeks pass. Students improve. Learning from instructor who survived what kills most people, who proved that age and experience defeat youth and enthusiasm when experience is applied correctly. Prophet's wind reading technique. Feeling atmospheric changes through exposed skin. Fortress's patience discipline. Holding position regardless of discomfort. Mercy's calm under pressure. Breathing control that prevents panic. Each lesson honors fallen brother. Each technique represents legacy. Each student becomes carrier of knowledge purchased with blood. Final qualification day. Students shoot 4,000-meter range. Same distance Brennan proved himself. Same challenge that announced resurrection. 60 students attempt, 43 succeed. Success rate unprecedented. Previous classes averaged 30%. This class exceeds 70%. Because they learned from warrior who survived impossible, who demonstrated that following fundamentals produces results that technology alone can't achieve. Graduation ceremony concludes training. Students receive certificates. Scout sniper qualification. The credential that opens doors and ends lives when applied properly. Commandant delivers remarks. Congratulates students. Thanks instructors. Then addresses Brennan specifically. Colonel Brennan represents Marine Corps at its best. Combat proven. Technically proficient. Dedicated to developing next generation. His contribution to this program exceeds instruction. He reminds us why we serve. Not for glory, for brothers beside us, for mission before us, for nation behind us. Marines like Brennan make Corps stronger. Semper Fidelis. Students applaud, understanding they learn from legend. From warrior whose impossible shot went viral, whose exposure of corruption became case study in integrity. After ceremony, young Lance Corporal approaches. Sir, question. What is it? You could be general, could have power, authority. Why choose teaching? Brennan considers answer carefully. Generals give orders, teachers give knowledge, orders get obeyed once, knowledge gets applied forever. I'd rather influence 1,000 Marines over careers than command 100 once. Legacy matters more than rank. The corporal nods, understanding dawning. Thank you, sir, for choosing us. Thank you for being worth teaching. Evening falls over Quantico. Training day complete. Brennan walks toward his quarters. Small room. Spartan furnishings, sufficient for needs. On desk sits photograph, 7 men, Raven protocol, taken before Fallujah, before betrayal, before death, young faces smiling. Believing future is certain. That service guarantees protection. That trust is honored. Beside photograph sits compass, prophet's gift, pointing north toward truth regardless of magnetic interference. Beside compass sits memorial program, from Arlington dedication, proof that sacrifice is remembered, that justice arrives eventually, that truth survives longer than lies. His phone rings. Rivera. James, saw news. Your student has crushed qualification, 70% success. That's incredible. Good students, good techniques, good legacy from good Marines. Prophet would be proud, you teaching his one reading method. They all would be. This honors them better than any monument. Living warriors carrying dead warriors' knowledge. That's immortality. True, listen, reason I called. Remember Phoenix Solutions, contractor network? Remember them being prosecuted, multiple counts, federal charges. All 19 operators pleaded guilty. Cooperation agreements. Testimony against Gaines, against Blackwell, against network leadership. Prosecutors offering reduced sentences for cooperation. Justice or plea bargain? Both. They face prison but less than murder charges warrant. Trade freedom for testimony that convicts masterminds. System working imperfectly, but working. I'll accept imperfect justice over perfect injustice. Operators imprisoned. Network exposed. That's more than we had. Agreed. How's retirement treating you? This isn't retirement. This is purpose with paycheck. Retirement comes later, maybe never. Warriors don't retire, they redeploy to different missions. Rivera laughs. Spoken like Marine. Semper Fi, brother. Semper Fidelis. The call ends. Brennan stands at window, watching evening become night. Stars emerging, constant despite human chaos below. 21 years since Fallujah. Since betrayal. Since death in survival and mission beginning. Justice delivered. Corruption exposed. Legacy secured. 7 brothers honored properly. Families receiving truth. Institution reformed, however slightly. An old warrior finding new purpose. Teaching rather than fighting. Building rather than destroying. Creating legacy measured in lives saved rather than enemies killed. The last raven flies not toward sunset but toward dawn. Because some flights don't end, they transform. From hunter to teacher, from warrior to mentor, from survivor to guardian. The mission continues, different form, same purpose. Protecting those who can't protect themselves. Honoring those who serve faithfully. Remembering those who died unnecessarily. Brennan picks up compass, feels weight familiar as breathing. Opens cover, reads inscription, prophet's brother added. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning we will remember them. He will remember. Every morning, every evening, every moment between. Not with grief that paralyzes, but memory that motivates. Not dwelling on death, but celebrating life. Not mourning loss, but honoring sacrifice. 7 brothers died. Their lessons live. Through instructor who survived. Through students who learn. Through warriors yet unborn who will inherit knowledge purchased with blood. That's legacy. That's immortality. That's victory that transcends individual lives. The last raven taught the young ravens to fly, to hunt, to survive, to honor. And in teaching, found purpose greater than revenge, greater than justice, greater than personal vindication. Found meaning in service that extends beyond self, that outlives individual existence, that echoes through generations of warriors who will never know the names but will apply the lessons. That's enough, more than enough, everything that matters. The old wolf watches over new pack, teaching young wolves to hunt, to survive, to honor pack that came before. Semper Fidelis, always faithful, to brothers, to mission, to core, to nation, to truth. The last raven flies eternal. Not alone anymore, surrounded by flock he trained, protected by legacy he built, remembered by Marines he taught. Some flights end in crashes, some end in landings, some never end at all. They transform into formations, into flocks, into futures that honor pasts. The sun sets over Quantico. Tomorrow it rises. An old warrior will teach new warriors. Again. Always. Because that's what warriors do. When fighting ends, when justice is served, when mission transforms. They teach, they build, they honor, they remember. Semper Fidelis, always faithful, forever.